really is breaking the norm.
Yeah, it's breaking the norm.
The norm's noon on Tuesdays.
Typically talk to them. We're going to break the norm doubly today. Coming up at noon with Les Norman, and we'll talk a lot of Royals baseball, obviously, with Les Norman. Get his thoughts on how this Royals team is playing right now, getting ready for the Tampa Bay Rays, going down and playing in a dome. Seth, they got a dome. Seth Lugo on the mound, a 1.79.
Is that his middle name now? Seth, they got a dome. Lugo?
They got a dome. 1.79 ERA carrying Seth Lugo heading to the mound tonight. So we'll see if the Royals can continue their hot streak and continue winning. And we'll see if the Cleveland Guardians can start losing sometime soon. That would be great if they started that. Royals with a 6-game winning streak. The Guardians with a 6-game winning streak. Royals with the 5th best record in baseball. And there are 6 teams that are playing 600 ball or better. Royals one of them.
The Royals have gone...
And the Guardians one of them.
The Royals have gone 8-2 in their past 10 games.
Guardians...
9-1. The
9-1.
Royals have actually lost a game. They're a game back in the last 10 games whilst going 8-2. It's very impressive.
And annoying at the same time. But also the Guardians probably look at it and go, dude, we've gone 9-1 in our last 10 games, and all we've done is gone a half game to a game and a half up in the Central. How annoying is it that these damned Royals keep winning? They won 56 games last year. They can't be close to winning 56 games already. Come on, man. Start losing, Royals. And they have not done that. The Royals have not held up their end of the bargain for Cleveland, and Cleveland has not held up their end of the bargain for the Royals. Twins and Tigers have. For both Cleveland and Kansas City, Twins and Tigers have held up their end of the bargain of just getting out of the way. So far, this year, through 52 games. 51 games.
Would you have said the Twins are getting out of the way as they sit at 3 games over 500
Isn't that
at
weird?
26 in 23?
Isn't that crazy?
What's funny is it feels like the Twins, Tigers, and White Sox have actually been what we all expected. The Twins, slightly above 500.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigers, a little below 500, right?
But they were really good the first month or so. They have gone through a rough stretch, but I think they're closer to a 500 team than how they've been playing recently.
Oh, completely agreed. But it's just funny how all of a sudden, we're 50 games in or so, and we're still like, the Twins and Tigers and White, they are who we thought they were.
And the White Sox can't get out of their own way or the way of Gunnar Henderson. They cannot get out of the way of anything right now, the Chicago White Sox. Well, you know what? We'll talk about that with Les Norman, too, coming up at noon. And also, MLB.com is one of the things I wanted to bring up with Les on Tuesday, but, we'll do it today. MLB.com has a really fascinating piece about two-strike approach. Is there a such thing as a two-strike approach? We always hear all right, choke up, 2 strikes, like in Little League or high school or whatever. But even it's like, at the major leagues, it's like, all right, he's got 2 strikes, he's protecting, anything that's close. What's a 2-strike approach? Do we see it in any tangible sort of evidence, numbers-wise, not just, it looks like he's shortening up his swing. Well, with baseball's, unveiling the entirety of all their StatCast swing data, a week ago, MLB.com has a really interesting piece about, let's take a deep dive and look into 2-strike approaches by hitters across Major League Baseball. So we'll talk about that with Les Norman because there were some fascinating things, and there was a Royal that showed up in one of the more exaggerated splits between no strikes and 2 strikes. So we'll explain that coming up in the noon hour. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer today, 41, KSHB 41 Sports Director. That's how the show lines up. We got the cuts before the show is over as well. We start off with college athletics, a historic ruling that came down yesterday, or at least settlement that came down yesterday. The NCAA and the Power 5 conferences that have agreed to settle what was 3 different antitrust lawsuits, $2.7 billion in back damages, and what will be roughly $20 to $30 million per school, up to $20 or $30 million per school over the next 10 years to add to player compensation or financial aid, etc., moving forward now. So $2.7 billion, and there's a convoluted formula as to how that is going to be paid out between the Power 5 schools, conferences, and then the non-Power 5 conferences and what they owe in the back damages to athletes going back to 2016. it also implemented revenue sharing amongst the universities, where up to about $22 million per school, which will start as soon as 2025. It may get pushed back, but the expectation right now is that it will be implemented and starting as soon as the fall of 2025. So now there will be money going to players. In what way it's distributed, I don't know. How the whole thing will be implemented, I don't know. They are expected to have a new enforcement arm specifically for this, because this is so completely outside of the NCAA's bylaws of what they typically govern, what is in their ballpark, their lane. This is so far outside of what they've done for, decades and decades, that there is expected to be a brand new enforcement arm specifically for this. There will still be NIL deals that will be secondary and separate from what this revenue sharing is. Those NIL deals are expected to remain outside of the athletic department. They are big questions still. I mentioned a couple of them, how it's going to be implemented, how the money is distributed, what does that do for Title IX, what does that do for schools and Olympic sports. There are a lot of questions moving forward with this thing, but it was, whether you like it or not, it was as historic of a day in college athletics that I think we have ever seen for what it will look like now, the landscape of college moving forward.
Yeah, this is going to get very convoluted and very difficult. Steve Berman, who's the co-lead counsel for the athletes alongside veteran antitrust attorney Jeffrey Kessler, he had some interesting thoughts on how it might get allocated, right? Because there's $2.7 billion total
in the back
pay, and then there's it's around $20 million is what it looks like.
It can be around $22 million per school that can be used as revenue sharing that is permitted, but does not require the schools to do that. They are not required to spend that money. They can spend up to $22 million.
And here's where I think it gets very difficult, because each player is going to think they're going to be worth more than maybe what they're getting. And Berman's initial thought process right here says some money is going to be split evenly among all members, but parts will be allocated based on the athlete's market value. Metrics using career snap count or a player's star rating in recruiting might determine the payout.
Well, those are the back damages, though.
Yes, I'm talking about back damages right here.
Yep.
And the back damage is where I think it's the most confusing. Because what say you're Aaron Kraft may have played a couple years. Like, how many years? Well, you paid 3 years, but your last year was in 2016, because it goes back to 2016. That's the first year. Well, 14, 15, those don't count then, right? Where's the cutoff line? This is where I think it gets so convoluted and so difficult when it comes to the back pay. That's what I'm kind of held up on. I almost feel bad, but it's also like, hey, I get that. You probably should have got paid there, but we can't just, because then ever from 2015 say, well, where's my money? And then it's 2014, well, where's my money? That's how I view this, in my opinion. So,
and they're going to have some sort of a formula, and if the players don't have to sign on to this. So they are not required to take whatever settlement is deemed
correct,
their percentage. If they sign on and take their settlement, they are then not allowed to sue the NCAA anytime moving forward.
Correct. It's like an either or. It's if you think you
but
can get more.
But they would then have to take on the case themselves.
Yes.
Which means lawyer fees or whatever the lawyer would get in percentage, and you would also have to expect to get that specific amount and not less than that, because if you get that amount, you are now paying lawyer fees.
Yeah.
So you're getting even less than what that is. So I think there might be some frustration by some players, but I would expect almost all of them would sign on and say, this is, I'm going to go and do this, get the money, whatever it is, and move on with my life. And hey, I wasn't even fighting for this. And now all of a sudden I'm given a $2,500 check. Okay, fine.
The only people I could think of were people who did not go pro, but who were very high prospects who felt like they helped their organization and their school a lot. That's the only ones. Like, you can get like Trevor Lawrence. Well, why would he now? Because he went 1-1. He's making all this money in the NFL. This does not bother him at all.
Yeah.
But like a Ryan Leaf, not even Jamarcus Russell would have made sense back in the day.
I'll give you one right now. He ain't going pro. He's going pro in something besides sports. Maybe he's going to work at Enterprise.
I know exactly what you're talking right now.
Brady Cook.
Oh,
Missouri
no,
quarterback.
I was thinking Zach Edey.
No, I mean Brady Cook, Missouri quarterback. He's not going to be a professional quarterback. He's not going to the NFL, but he's vital to Missouri's football program right now.
Yeah.
And if they make the playoff and he's a starting quarterback for a playoff team, that's a pretty decent amount of change that he would have earned for said school playing his position.
Sure.
But that's just a name that popped into my mind.
I was thinking more like the Zach Edey's who are going to get a second-round draft pick most likely, or the Hunter Dickinson's a second-round draft pick.
I'm talking about people that aren't even going to go pro at all, but they are important and vital to their particular teams.
Sure.
It's not like, where in basketball, if you don't make the NBA, you can go play over in Europe if you're good enough and make a pretty decent living.
Good point.
Football, Brady Cook, the Uranium League, Canadian Football League, something like that, or just simply go pro in something besides sports. And
I hear a lot of people go pro in something besides sports.
That's exactly right.
I hear that.
Take advantage of the name, and now you get a job with a marketing firm or a financial institution.
Sure.
You use the name, which is great because that's part of the name, image, likeness, and that's what a lot of people looked at in the past and said, hey, they're benefiting from their name. He can get a job or something like that after it's over. He gets the scholarship, etc. That's a player that would come to mind for Missouri specifically.
Sure.
There are a number of them at KU that aren't going to be. Todd Reesing.
Yeah,
Todd Reesing was,
but he's too long ago.
but he would have been a perfect example. The guy was the name, face, star, the magic of KU's amazing couple-year run was Todd Reesing. He ain't playing in the NFL. He wasn't going and playing anywhere. But, man, you talk about that KU team, the first thing you think of is Todd Reesing. I think of Sod Reesing, but the first thing you think of is Todd Reesing. That's a name that would come to mind.
That's also part of my point is that sucks for him.
Yeah, because it's way too far back.
Too far back. You're sitting here going, well, what about us?
Yeah.
That's why I think this entire situation just made everything so much more difficult. There was never going to be a good answer. Mm-hmm. I'm all for NIL, and I'm all for players getting what they think they're worth, all that stuff. I get that. Once you dip your toe in it, you're all the way in. There's no dipping your toe in it because now you're chest deep.
Yeah, they were dipping their toe in it before.
You cannonballed in.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we're 3 years removed. This is how crazy and how fast these things have moved once Congress got involved and once they started looking at the antitrust lawsuits and the government was like, hold on, NCAA. You're telling me this is going on, that's going on, and you're wanting to be tax exempt and this. Yeah, this ain't working, man. You guys are in some hot water. And the NCAA started finding out that they were in some hot water. 3 years ago, they fought against allowing college athletes to have $6,000 for a payment. That's what they fought against in court, spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to fight against having $6,000 per scholarship athlete as a payment. Now they're paying back $2.7 billion, and they're looking at $30 million, upwards of $30 million per school over the next 10 years, as opposed to, you know what, let's just go ahead and pay this. But it was a can of worms. It was a slippery slope that they couldn't go down because if they wanted 6 now, then what about 7 and 8? All right, yeah, because that's how the economy works. Because your coach wanted 3 just to get the job.
Yeah.
Now that he's won, he wants 5. He continues to win. He wants 7. Then he wants 9, and he wants 10. And you need to go and improve the facilities and the football stadium and the weight room and the locker room because these other schools are doing that. That's how it's working. The arms race of college football and college athletics, I should say, but especially college football, all it was taking the money they were bringing in their budget and spending it on stadiums and locker rooms and waterfalls and slides and barber shops there on campus. Because that's how you recruited. That's the way that you would separate yourself.
Sure.
Success and amenities.
Well, Mizzou did that with their rec center.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Success and amenities is how you recruited before. Now they are taking the money that would go to locker rooms and facilities and the arms race and giving it to the players, which I think the players would probably prefer.
Sure.
Hey, you know what? You get a nicer dorm. Okay. Or we'll give you $100,000 and you get a generic dorm. I'll take option B on that because every other college kid is living in a whatever regular dorm or whatever, and I bet it's not just a regular dorm. That's the difference is when we talk about these arms races. The issue moving forward, though, Sterling, that I think is going to be tough for some of these schools is that they've already written the check or borrowed the money for these facilities and upgrades that they're still paying off the debt. You can't just say, okay, we were allocating this to the arms race and now we're going to stop paying that and we'll put it over to this budget over here. Well, they still are paying off debt in a lot of those spots that they're still going to have to pay off over however long it took, or takes for them to completely be square with whatever that facility is, and then allocate that money that you were spending to that. You're paying off a credit card. Once you pay off that credit card, you take the money you were spending on that credit card and move it over to another credit card,
what you're supposed to do
and
is
you start to...
You cut the credit card in half and you throw it in the ocean, and I think you're good then.
That's exactly right. If you owe a lot of money on a credit card, if you just throw it away, you don't owe anything anymore.
I'm like, I don't have it. Like, come find me. I don't have this credit card.
Yeah, it's gone.
Ignore it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just what could they possibly do to you?
How do they find
not
you?
Financial advice.
I've never heard anything like that. Here are the bigger questions that I have moving forward. I'm okay with this. We'll see what happens. Some of that $30 million is going to be used in financial aid because schools are permitted now to expand financial aid to an entire roster. For instance, there's head counts and equivalency sports. Head count sport is football. They get 85 scholarships. Equivalency sports, for instance, Dylan, baseball. 32 rostered players and 11.7 scholarships. Schools are now in this settlement permitted to offer full financial aid to every player on a roster, which means if a school wants to, the SEC will give 32 scholarship players out to baseball players.
Yeah.
Not just 11.7. The SEC. Which means...
It means more.
It'll mean more dominance in baseball, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
They're already good, but now if they're going to be allocating more resources and financial aid to baseball,
Which
you don't
they
have to
already
spend...
could have with the money they make now.
Right. And NIL deals and stuff like that, even for baseball, you don't have to give all 32, but if you double the scholarships to, 23.4, you had 11.7. Now throw 23.4, you've doubled the scholarships, and not every school. So you might have LSU that says we're giving out 30 full ride scholarships. You might have Ole Miss that's like we're giving out 25. You might have, Vanderbilt. We're giving out 5.
Like I don't want
No,
to
actually, Vanderbilt's an awesome baseball program. I'm just thinking like a bad baseball program. They're Vanderbilt's an awesome baseball. But Kentucky's okay. I mean, they're
bottom tier
SEC. They're hosting a regional though.
Yeah, they're bottom tier SEC.
They're hosting a regional.
Come on, Jason.
Best baseball players you've ever played against on Kentucky still.
Yeah, I know.
And they're bottom of the SEC.
Right, and that's with
I
only
didn't
11
say
points.
I'm batting 300 against those guys. I'm just trying to give Jason a hard time.
Yeah.
My gosh.
No, I mean they're still hosting a regional, so I mean they're a good program. They're better.
Fine, Arkansas. I'll rip on Arkansas.
That's fine with me.
I
Rip
don't
on
want to
Arkansas.
bring
You
the
want.
rain to like a parade here, but that's kind of why I always thought those videos of the punters getting from a walk-on to a scholarship when the football team already gets full
85.
scholarships. And it's like, oh, do that for the baseball team or do that for the volleyball team where like half the team is not on scholarship and they're playing.
Absolutely. It's the equivalency sports. A lot of the Olympic sports are equivalency sports. And just seeing, how they enforce that, because for the men's side, basketball 13, football 85, got 98 scholarships right there of the scholarships that are allotted. You now have to come up with 98 scholarships on the women's side for Title IX. And then how do you then disperse other additional scholarships for the men's side? One, I expect this to be the case, an unintended consequence is if they are going to fully fund entire rosters, I think you'll probably see the end of large walk-ons. Because football rosters can be up to 120.
Oh, good call.
So if you're going to fully fund an entire roster, you might have like 90 or 95 players total on your roster, not 85 and then 35 walk-on players.
You're not going to pay for them.
You're not going to pay for 120 scholarships
Yeah.
in football. You don't have to,
Yeah.
but they're permitted to. They are not required to do those things. And so there's going to be a lot of figuring things out on the fly. And here's one thing that is impacted right now. coming up this fall, we're a few months away from football players going into their senior year, and they are taking visits. They're trying to figure out where they're going to go to school. Signing days in December. And a college coach is going, yeah, I actually don't know if I'm paying you money. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's NIL. Yeah, we're going to have like 20 million, 22 million, but we don't know how that's going to be structured. So I don't know, can I pay you money? I don't know. It's why one of the reasons is that they're encouraged to keep an NIL outside the athletic department. Yeah. Keep going about this. But they're high school kids going into the senior year, that things are going to be different for them starting in the fall of 2025 that have no idea through the recruitment process of, is it going to be $22 million per school and they can use it however they want? Is it Title IX specific allocated to both? So if there's $10 million allocated to football or on the men's side, you allocate $10 million on the women's side. You don't have to use all 22. So if you're only going to use $3 million total, then 1.5. Sure. Like, how is that whole thing going to be implemented? And how much of the up to 22 will count scholarships being fully funded? If I pay this football player $5 million, okay, but I just gave $5 million in financial aid to extra scholarships for the women's side. So now it's equal again. We're all good with Title IX in the government.
Yeah, schools and teams are going to want everyone to do NIL or sue the government. The schools are sitting here going, yeah, I know we have 22 mil. Are you sure you don't think you can get a couple extra 100,000 or a couple extra thousand if you take on your own lawsuit? Because then it's not coming out of their pocket.
Mm-hmm. Well, and and this is my concern with this whole thing. I think schools, because again, they are permitted, not required, for the revenue sharing. I think schools will find this as an opportunity to eliminate Olympic sports that they wanted to anyway. And now they'll just blame it on the greedy athletes. Mm-hmm. These athletes over there wanted this money, and now we're losing this Olympic sport. So we're just going to blame it on that. We didn't want that Olympic sport anyway.
Check out this new rec center we're going to build next year.
Exactly. We didn't want this Olympic sport. We'll blame it on that. And the scholarship thing always bugs me. Because the fact that you look at the budgetary items for any athletic department, and it's got like probably the biggest expense is scholarships, financial aid that they're paying to the university. That only matters if you have a capped number at your university. If you've got an open enrollment at your university, you're not paying financial aid. You're not paying. If you only allow 1,000 players or people at your university, 1,000 students at your university, that's it. And then you have an athlete come in that wouldn't necessarily get in. Now that's paying the school financial aid because you just gave a position that somebody would be paying for. Sure. You gave them a free ride. But if you've got an open enrollment at all these public universities, as many kids that want to go, they'll go, come on in. You're not capping that. You're not paying financial aid. There's nothing that you're taking from the university to give to the player. You're not taking anything. You're just adding somebody else to the school. You had 21 students in that class. Now you got 22. Huge universities, you had 100 kids in that class. Now you got 101. Now you got 102, 103, whatever it is. Like, that's been one of the biggest, I think, BS parts of budgeting in college athletics is the, quote, financial aid. That, we got to pay all these scholarships. Oh, so you got to take the money from checking to savings? You still have the money. Oh, no, we took it from savings to checking. It's still your money.
What was I paying for?
It's still this. You're just transferring it from one bank account to the next.
Hey, I was paying for James Franklin. Okay, that's what I was paying for.
It's so absurd.
Gladly pay for that.
The only time that should be a budgetary item where we're actually discussing it is if that attendance is capped at a university. But almost all of these public universities are open.
Well, I do hear
they have standards.
Mizzou are very hard to get into. I hear those are.
Well, they may have standards, like you'd have
the Harvard of the Midwest.
You can't have a 15 on your ACT to get in. They have standards there, but it's not like a football player or a basketball player is taking the spot of another university student that wouldn't have gotten in otherwise. That's not happening.
Fair.
It's absurd. It's we got to pay all this financial aid. Come on, man. You're taking it from savings to checking. The university still has the money. It's the university at large that has the money. It's the whole university.
Well, it's in a Roth IRA, Jason. They can't touch it until they're 64 and a half, 62 and a half.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, it's not necessarily a Roth IRA, but I think one of the things that people are going to start hearing about is private equity and private capital for these universities, because they've been looking for an extra stream of revenue. And now if you're looking at a $30 million increase plus paying the $2.7 billion and whatever percentage is back on that, you might be seeing some private equity firms that are willing to give, all right, we'll give you a stream of here's $50 million right there. And then we'll take, 2 to 5% on growth of the next 15 years, but that's growth anyway, 2 to 5%. We'll get our money back and we'll make a little money, and you get the revenue stream that you're looking for right now. We're infusing money into college athletics, so now you can keep that Olympic sport. And by the way, the TV deals continue to go up and up and up and up and up. People aren't going to stop watching college athletics because of this. Well, I'm not watching anymore. Okay, well, your team, Alabama, your team's playing Auburn. You're not watching? Because that guy got a little bit of money? No. We're watching we're still watching football. We're still watching college basketball. College basketball. These players get, Caitlin Clark, women's hoops, most watched ever. She's getting like 7 figures at Iowa. She was getting like $2 million at Iowa.
Weren't those people supposed to leave the country a couple years ago?
That's right. People aren't watching the NFL.
Gotcha.
I won't watch college athletics. I won't do any of that now that we've got all these players making money.
I only watch cornhole.
to the whole thing, the Jaden Rashada lawsuit that's going on with Florida and Billy Napier, where he's seeking $10 million in damages because he alleged that Florida offered him $13.85 million in an NIL deal for his commitment. And so he is in the middle of suing Florida, Billy Napier. They also name the former director of NIL or whatever for
wait. $13.85 million.
Oh, you heard that right. Yeah. He alleges he was offered $13.85 million.
Is this LeBron?
It's a 4-star quarterback is who they were looking at.
A 4-star?
4-star quarterback. He was going to go to Miami because he alleges he had a deal at Miami for $9.5 million from John Ruiz, the Life Wallet billionaire, CEO of Life Wallet billionaire, John Ruiz, who was the one that gave remember it was, who was the K-State player that went to Miami, K-State basketball player, went down. Oh my goodness, come on. Nigel Pack.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the whole $500,000, how are you going to match that? Well, that was John Ruiz and Life Wallet that was, giving those NIL deals out.
Yeah, 500K is a lot different than $9.5 million.
Right. Yeah. But this was the beginning when it was that's just a pay for play. That's not an NIL deal. When we were really specifically watching and wondering if this is an NIL deal, like Luther Burden and his potato chips, as opposed to
those slap, by the way. Those are good.
Here's just $3 million for being a really good player.
Yeah.
So he alleges that he was offered $9.5 million to go to Miami from John Ruiz. And Florida came in the last minute and said, we'll offer you $13.85 million to get your commitment from Miami. We're going to give you this $500,000 signing bonus when you sign from a collective, from a Florida collective, which, by the way, has since been disbanded and broken up. So he's suing this collective that no longer exists. Nice. But the deal, apparently, this is fascinating, and I'm using air quotes contract because it wasn't really a contract.
Yeah.
Which is why they're not suing for breach of contract. It's just
what are they suing for?
Tortious interference. I always get
that.
Is
it a tort?
It's a tort. Yes,
it's a tort.
It's a tort.
Yeah.
But interference that way, not breach of contract. But he claims that he was going to get $500,000 on signing day, and then he was going to get $250,000 a month, escalating from there throughout his entire college career. That would come to $13.85 million. By the way, Xavier Worthy's, when he signs his 4-year contract, will be $13.8 million.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy is
no, I'm sure, man.
Draft.
Yeah, I'm sure this guy is 4-star.
So in order to break his deal with Miami, apparently John Ruiz was required to get a $150,000 check because he just turned that deal down. He then says, Rashada in the lawsuit then says, his dad was specifically told by Billy Napier and Marcus Castro Walker, the former director of NIL for Florida, that he would get $1 million on signing day as a signing bonus.
They didn't get their story straight. You
So
got
he was
to
gonna
get
get-
your story straight.
So he was going to get $500,000. Then he was going to get $1 million from Billy Napier. Well, long story short, that money never came. He waited and waited and waited and didn't get any money. So then he got out of his letter of intent, went to Arizona State for a year. Now he's transferring to Georgia. So now he's a quarterback at Georgia. And he is alleging that he was promised $1 million from Billy Napier. But the reason it's not a breach of contract is because the
There was
deal...
no contract.
Right. But, well, this is the quote contract. The deal could be terminated at any moment for any reason by either side, which is not a contract. It's just at any moment, any reason by either side. And if that's the deal...
Is that the first time in any contract that's been put in there?
Right, but it's not a contract then.
That's what I'm saying.
Also, what are you suing for? We
want money.
We terminated the deal.
Yeah.
We were allowed to terminate the deal at any moment for any reason at any time.
It's not a contract.
And we decided to eliminate the deal right before you signed your letter of intent.
Who's the lawyer that took this case? It's definitely not a lawyer who's like, we'll only take your case and we only get paid if we win. Not one of those lawyers. This one's like, we're going to lose.
So the reason he's suing is because it's not breach of contract, because, as it said, we can break the deal. He's suing tortious interference because he's alleging he would have received the $9 million from Miami if Florida didn't step in and offer him this and then not live up to their end of the bargain of what they said he would get.
I would love to see Miami say...
Well, John Ruiz is denying that he offered this. So the Life Wallet guy at Miami is denying he's
okay. So then he's
offering this.
Okay, so if Miami already said no, then why would Florida? Yeah.
But good
luck, guy.
To me, the fallout of this is: are there more specific contracts written in NIL for players, and not a handshake? We're going to give your son $1 million on signing day. Don't worry, he's going to get $1 million to not go to Miami. And then we're going to pay him $250,000 a month while it has an escalator every month from there as long as he stays in college, which can be up to $13.85 million if he stays all 4 years. So there's incentives. It's a roster incentive each and every month that he has. But if he said it's a he said she said at this point, I can't imagine he's going to win the lawsuit. But if he does, well, then I think you're going to have to see some contracts implemented from the school standpoint to protect themselves.
I have zero idea how he would even come close to winning anything in this case.
No way, because, I mean...
Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer.
But here's the thing. I shouldn't say no way. In the lawsuit, he claims to have text messages that corroborate his story. His dad claims to have text messages that corroborate his story.
Well, their stories don't corroborate. Hard word to say for me, because
I couldn't say tortoise or tortoise.
It's
or tortoise.
Yeah, it's a tortoise. Yeah,
or turtle. It's turtle interference is what they're going through.
It's Galapagos.
Yep.
If it was a Galapagos turtle, then you'd have some better help there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the dad's saying $1 million and then the kid's saying $500,000, you're already that's the starting point.
Well, the original deal, I guess, was $500,000. Then Billy Napier was like, no, really sign with us. We'll give you $1 million up front instead of $500,000 up front. Who knows? But to me, it's a matter of, like, we see all these NIL deals going on. We hear, like, crazy numbers being thrown out.
Yeah.
And then they sign, and we're wondering, like, okay, so what happens if they leave school? Well, what happens if the school doesn't pay? What happens if this is just a handshake agreement? Well, this is what happens.
Yeah.
This is exactly what happens. And so moving forward, if it isn't an NIL deal specifically with a company, because those companies will have contracts.
Yes.
Because Rashada has communication, at least he claims to have communication between his agents, because he had an agent at a high school, because he was apparently getting 7 figures in an NIL deal. So he's got agents to help negotiate those things. So there may be communication there between those. But if it's with a collective, with a school, which isn't an endorsement deal, it's just the collective with the school, then I think you've got to have parameters of, like, okay, we'll give you this money, but here are the requirements. Like, if we give you this money up front, here are the requirements, and if you don't do this, then you pay that money back. Here's a specific contract that you will sign on to, and you can have an advisor, you can have an agent. Jaden Rashada had an agent, and now he could be the starting quarterback for Georgia, playing Florida, in the greatest outdoor cocktail party, while suing Billy Napier for $10 million.
There's going to be storylines galore. By the way, I didn't really think of this, but imagine being 18 or 19 years old, and all of a sudden, if that was true, 13 mil.
Somebody's offering you $13.85 million.
Dude, I would be such a dumbass.
That's kind of the issue, is that it's like predatory.
Well,
and it seems so outlandish that how can you possibly believe that somebody's going to give you you're a 4-star quarterback. You're not like, it's not
Trevor Lawrence coming out.
It's not Archie Manning.
Yeah,
it's not Archie Manning.
Even Archie Manning. Yeah,
it's not him. Like, one of the biggest recruits we'd seen in 5 or 6 years. Okay, we're going to give you $10 million.
Spencer Rattler.
I guess it makes sense.
Spencer Rattler was insane.
Yeah, he got $10 million from South Carolina though. But I don't know what he got. He was a pretty big recruit though. But like, if it's a collective, because that collective's not even going on at Florida. That broke up.
Yeah, it's like the second one too. I mean, Florida has some issues.
They do.
And
Billy Napier has some issues with the not winning.
You're not bad too. But I'm sure you're talking about the Gervon Dexter.
I think
deal,
that's who it is.
Where, he signs the way I'm reading it. Forfeit 15% of his future NFL earnings for the next 25 years for $450K.
I mean, there are
that's
lenders.
Illegal. It was thrown out because by the law of Florida, that's a legal NIL.
I was going to say, they do that with minor leaguers all the time. I don't know what specific firm, but they do that with minor leaguers all the time, where it's like, hey, we'll give you $150,000 right now for 5% of your career earnings in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
The more you get, the higher the percentage you get.
Yeah.
But you also had, at the time, this was like, I heard about this like 5, 6, 7 years ago. At the time, they were making like $10,000 a year.
Yep.
5 people rooming together in a 2-bedroom apartment. And it's like, okay, I'll give you $150,000 right now. and 3% of your career earnings in Major League Baseball, depending on the prospect, 3% of your career earnings. Okay, so if I get to Major League Baseball and then I get to arbitration and I'm making like 20, 25 million, I can get to $100 million. I got to give them 3% and I get $150,000 right now. Okay, fine, sign me up. Some of them are, we'll give you $50,000 right now for like 25%. Because we don't know that you're going to make it.
I don't know if it was Ozzie Albies or I thought it was someone on the Braves that they had that happen to them, and I don't know if it got thrown out or not.
Michael Harris, maybe? Because this, I've heard about going on recently, so maybe
we're thinking the same. I think we're thinking the same guys.
Austin Riley. Of course, they weren't in the minors that long, so I don't know that they would need to.
It's also different in football because these contracts are not guaranteed, and he's a defensive lineman. Which is not a
defensive lineman,
protected position.
It's not a and typically I was going to say it's not a first or second round pick in baseball, but if it is, they don't need that $50,000.
True.
It's typically going to be college seniors that get
like a 10th rounder.
Yeah, college seniors that get to minor league baseball, and it's like, well, because it's like, look, man, I'm in single A. I don't know that I'm going to make. If I make it to the big leagues, I'll gladly give him 10%.
Sure, right.
I'll gladly give him 10%, and he's going to give me $60,000 right now. Great, let's do it. Sign up.
Part of me, with college sports and the amount of money that's going on right now, part of me is a little worried because you're seeing in the NFL what happens when guys who are 23, 24, who've gone through college, who get a lot of money. There needs to be something in place where you can say, hey, guys, I know you have a lot of money now. Because I know myself when I was 18, 19, 20, you give me that much money, I'd be a dumbass. Like, I would be a complete dumbass. I understand myself.
Absolutely.
There needs to be something in place.
I understand you, too. You would have been a dumbass.
You got to have a fall guy.
You got to have a fall guy. But you have to make sure that there's something in place financially, make sure these kids, because if you just give them a bleep ton of money with no guidance, you see what happens with young guys in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be even worse in college.
Well, honestly, I think that's kind of what Eli Drinkwitz was talking about when he got raked over the coals for the, his brother-in-law that is a doctor and makes this much money, and we got kids that are making. I believe, and look at your color glasses. I believe you listen to the entire context of the quote, and he was talking about how there needs to be more responsibility on the football program and the coaches.
Yes. I'm not blaming the players. I'm blaming
when you are giving players, there's some personal responsibility that goes on. Sure. But, there's a lot of things that can go into it as a fiduciary responsibility from the football program. I think that's more what he was talking about in saying, look, now these guys are getting what a doctor's getting on a yearly basis, and they're, 18, 19 years old. We want to make sure that they aren't getting themselves in trouble and not knowing how to handle that.
Fully formed. Come on, you got to get that frontal lobe.
They're not 25 yet.
Yeah. They're not?
Yeah. 24 and a half, still not there. 24 in 362 days, not there. 25, fully formed. Where's our next? All right, Jason Anderson here from my friends over at Guaranteed Foods. And, we're talking about money and sometimes a lot of money, and it's all relative what a lot of money is. And for us, when we looked at our grocery food bill, what we were spending at grocery stores, Sam's, Costco, a family of 4 like mine, and... We'll talk with him about the OTAs that he watched on Wednesday. ChiefsDigest.com, 41 is the Mike podcast. Coming up at noon, Les Norman, breaking the norm. We'll talk some Royals baseball. They get ready for the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend in a 3-game set before playing the Minnesota Twins for 4 games on the road. So 7 games on this road trip for the Royals, and Seth Lugo on the mound. And then Mick Schaefer, will hang out with him coming up in the show as well. KSHB 41 Sports Director. We got the cuts before the show is over as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Matt Derrick will join us. We'll talk some Chiefs football with the man from Chiefs Digest, and 41 is the Mike podcast. Coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, hanging out here on this Friday edition of the show. Let's talk some NFL football with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. He's presented by Cap One Lending. The Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending, the exclusive loan, helps you pay your home off in less than half the time. Gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to caponelending.com. Matt, welcome into the show. What's up, brother? How are you?
I am doing great.
Good.
And especially because listening to the show coming in
and
talking about everything.
Oh, fantastic.
You know what was going through my mind?
What?
Blue Chips.
Yeah. We owe it
That
to him.
movie was a way ahead of its time.
By the way, Happy was the one who was right in that entire movie. And he was made out to be the villain, the bad guy. But Happy was great.
Yeah.
He gave him a Lexus. He didn't even want it.
Didn't even want it.
Gave a kid a house, a job, a tractor.
Yeah.
You know, didn't even want it. You know, and the great Petey Bell. You know, he was getting a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
But you know, he was very upset about the players getting all that money.
But it makes me think. I mean, because hey, Penny Hardaway goes to Coach Bell and says, "Hey, you know,
it's a great point.
you need to get out of here. You know,
yeah. If
I leave, does the mom get to keep the house and the car and everything?
And the job? Does my mom get to keep her job?
And that was just, now you're just going to, Coach Bell and having that conversation. And Coach Bell is like having Happy over his shoulder. Is like, I'd be at practice tomorrow, kid.
It's a great line.
But
I'd
now,
be at practice tomorrow.
There's gonna be contracts. I mean, kid wants a transfer.
Yeah.
Now it's not going to be Coach Bell saying, "Hey, that's
going to be the lawyer.
I'd be at practice tomorrow." Exactly. It's going to be
your agent.
There's going to be subpoenas and affidavits. And
at least, unlike NFL players, they could choose where they want to go and sign that deal. I mean, they're absolutely free agents, and it would be the true free market value, as opposed to the NFL is not a true free market value with players coming into the NFL. You're specifically chosen, and then you go and play for that team for the contract slotted for you. It's way more free market at that level. So having a little more freedom of choosing should make that contract a little more ironclad.
Not going to be Coach Bell saying you need to be to practice tomorrow, Penny.
It's exactly
going to be,
right.
Hey.
And Happy's like, well, I'm going to need to get that car back then. All right. And I need you to pay for how much this car has gone down in value from when we gave it to you.
Now I'm wondering if Sterling has ever seen Blue Chips.
Well, I was thinking cookies at first. I was thinking, blue chip cookies, and I was really, I was.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I was in the background thinking like, ooh, cookies and ice cream sounds so good right now. And then I was also thinking it kind of feels like Jason when I'm here. I'm like, I'm gonna be gone Friday. He's like, I'd be there Friday. I'd be there Friday.
Have you seen Blue Chips?
Go watch it tonight. Read the book.
I was going to say, not even that. I mean, go home. I mean, right now, watch it. I mean,
get out of here.
Start watching it right now. I mean,
leave.
This is like a requirement.
You know what? How about this? You just watch it on your computer while we do the show.
Exactly. I mean,
and then you react to things that are going on in real time. Okay?
Because I don't know how you can do sports radio in this day and age without having seen Blue Chips. I mean, it's
because you have no idea if Neon Bodo actually spelled his name wrong on the SAT. Because don't you get like 800 points for spelling your name right? Well, that's the problem. He spelled his name wrong.
Yeah. Blue Chips, 1994. So that's when I was born.
I mean,
so that movie was born too.
That was Shaq's acting debut, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was his first movie.
And Bob Knight's in it.
Oh yeah.
Well, there are a lot of cameos. Bob Knight, Rick Pitino, Rex.
Bob Cousy.
Alan Houston. I'm a big Alan Houston guy.
Good for you. God, there were so many others. In fact, we talked about
give
this
you the list.
like a couple of weeks ago.
Wasn't Coach K in there?
Oh, Coach K was in there. Boeheim was in there.
I don't see Coach K. I see Bob Knight, Pitino, George Raveling. Bob Cousy. I love Bob Cousy.
Oh, Bob Cousy just never missed a free throw. He was
that
just
was
shooting
a
free throw after
great
free throw
cameo.
after free throw after free
There's
throw.
a great Bob Cousy book.
I bet there is.
Larry Bird.
Bird was in there. He helped him land Ricky Rowe.
Alan Houston, Dick Vitale, Jim Boeheim.
Rex Walters.
Bobby Hurley.
Bobby Hurley was in there.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah.
Bobby Hurley was in there. Those are the only cameos from Rick Fox was a cameo in that as well. Yeah, some good stuff.
Wow, yeah.
But the stars, I mean, Penny and Shaq
and then the kid that played at Indiana went as Ricky Rowe, but he was actually a player at IU.
Wait, time out. So Larry Bird plays himself. Ed
Yes.
O'Neill plays Ed. And then Bob Cousy plays Vic Roker. Like, why wouldn't Bob Cousy just play himself?
He's
Everyone
the
else,
athletic director.
Because he's the athletic
he's
director.
kind of a bad guy. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's the
well,
athletic
he's not really a
director.
bad guy. He's just kind of,
Oh, no wonder they
Curmudgeon.
got Larry. It was filmed in
He's-
Indiana / also French Lick.
Right, yeah, that's the Ricky Rowe. He was going to recruit Rick. That's the guy that got the tractor and $10,000 in a gym bag.
Hey, I'm learning right now, okay?
Spoiler alert, Ricky Rowe gets a
God.
Ricky Rowe gets a tractor.
tractor and a bag of cash.
Do you know that Bob Knight appears in the film as himself, but has no scripted lines? No scripted lines.
Well, they didn't know, they didn't trust him to say anything that would be appropriate to put on camera at that time. And at that time, you could say anything on camera.
West Baden is the town adjacent to French Lick, which is
That's
named
where Ricky
after,
Rowe's from?
Well, it's named after. It's actually Larry Bird. It's named after the German. I knew this. It's not even in this. I just know this because this is potpourri. It's named after the German city, Baden-Baden. So I don't know in this though if it's actually West Baden or Baden. I don't know how they pronounce it.
Are you sure?
You know how like Versailles, Kentucky is pronounced Versailles,
Yeah, it's
even though
annoying.
it's Versailles.
Even though it's Versailles, yes.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know
annoying.
how they pronounced West Baden.
Yeah, it's like
Baden.
you get people. You get that tool that made fun of Patrick Mahomes for saying Louisville.
It's
It
Louisville.
was Louisville.
It's Louisville.
But it's Versailles. But that's the one you have to pronounce each and every letter. Versailles, not Versailles. Versailles.
Matt Nover, by the way. I forgot
Matt
about
Nover,
that.
that's what it is. Matt Nover.
Yeah.
Matt Nover played at IU. Played for Bobby Knight there. And
Probably got a tractor.
one hell of an actor.
Did you guys know that filming alongside Anthony Hardaway, Penny, led Shaq to recommend the Magic that they select Hardaway?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Because of this movie.
And then Shaq elected to go to the Lakers and break up the Magic that I think could have won a championship in the East if it wasn't for the clear, clean path for
Well,
Jordan.
they didn't have Hito Turkoglu there yet. If they needed to get Hito Turkoglu. They didn't have him yet.
Well, they had Nick Anderson missing free throws. That guy.
That's the pitcher. You got that's the pitcher.
Andersons typically don't miss free throws, but he did. He did that day. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. All right, Matt, you guys got to watch OTAs on Wednesday.
That's right. We got to see some football, baby.
Which, by the way, I gotta read this again because I thought this was one of the more hilarious tweets, and I'm gonna find it here before here it is. So Art Stapleton covers the New York Giants.
Yes.
He tweets out, the Giants put out their in-house OTA reports when closed to outside media. Says from Dan's report, and this is Dan Solomon from works with the Giants, I guess. From Dan's report, like Matt McMillan, says Daniel Jones participated in 7-on-7 and completed passes to Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, so the rookie is back from L.A. And somebody replied to Art Stapleton and said, how did Drew Lock look? And he replied and said, Daniel Jones looked like Mahomes, Drew Lock looked like Josh Allen, and Tommy DeVito was Drew Brees. First OTA we can watch is Thursday. It's just a great line, right? Oh, they all looked amazing.
All looked amazing.
Because this is the report we get. I'll let you know on Thursday when we can actually watch it. But you guys got to watch on Wednesday, so what did you see? What was your takeaway, if there is much of a takeaway from getting to see the rookies now intermingling with the veterans?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the snapshots. You're only seeing 1 out of 3 practices. So, it's, hey, there's other things we're missing. So, hey, somebody could be having a good day. Somebody could be having a bad day. Got to always take that into consideration. But
no nuance here, no.
I mean, no nuance here.
No.
Can't have nuance on.
No.
Xavier Worthy dropped a
Can't have
pass.
nuance
The
here.
first
Come
day of rookie
on.
minicamp, Xavier Worthy dropped a pass. They should cut him.
Not getting to see Xavier Worthy was disappointing because he had the tweaked hamstring on Tuesday. So, but I mean, in general, and this is a passing camp, and with the caveat and the nuance that you should be impressive in shorts in May and June when nobody can touch you and there's no pads and everything. But all of those caveats being added and said, the offense looked really good. I mean, there was absolutely some timing between Mahomes and Hollywood Brown already.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, that's it. I thought that there was better chemistry and connections and timing between Mahomes and the pass catchers yesterday than I probably saw last year during OTAs at this exact same time. And especially some of the deep balls. I mean, the timing as far as him and Brown, I mean, they had some really good connections. Hollywood Brown made flat out one of the best catches I've ever seen, period. But absolutely, I mean, the best catch I've ever seen like 5 feet away from me. And that, I mean, this was like a 40, 45-yard throw to Mahomes to the back of the end zone. And at first you're like, there's no way he's going to be able to catch this. And if it's like, even if he does, there's no way he's going to be able to stay in bounds. So I'm just mostly, looking at his feet, see if he's able to get it in. And then you see, I mean, the body control that he had to just make sure that he's dragging his feet in the end zone, puts his right hand, the right hand was outside the end zone. I mean, he had to reach out for it. And, I mean, this is still like, I mean, he had been going full speed and now slowing down and using the body control to get his feet down, reaches out with the right, pulls it in, and then he goes, like I said at the practice, he went all Shawshank because he stands up and he's just like spreading his arms out like this with the ball in his hand and it looks up to the sky and screams. So it was, it was a lot like, it was a lot like Andy Dufresne.
Rocky at the top of the steps.
Coming out of the sewer.
Yeah.
And screaming in the rain and everything. Yeah.
That's amazing. Because I had heard like it was one of those where it's like, oh, hey, maybe there's somebody else on this team that knows how to track a football. Besides us talking about Xavier Worthy can track a football.
He knows how to track a football. Hollywood knows how to track a football.
Mahomes had something interesting in the presser, right? He was talking about how he might start throwing a little more.
They're encouraged.
They're encouraged to throw more deep balls, but also it seemed like he was trusting Hollywood Brown more. It seemed like a noticeable talking point that Mahomes had. He was going to give him more opportunities. That was the word that stood out, was more opportunities. Because Justin Watson was fine. McCole Hardman couldn't track it. MVS couldn't track it. Kadarius Toney, no. He couldn't get on the field or he was dropping the ball. But if Hollywood Brown's tracking the ball, we don't see him throw 50-50 balls, right? I'm not saying 50-50, but even more, let's say like 40s or 60-40 balls, right? We might start seeing more of those from Mahomes to Hollywood Brown. Do you think the same thing here when he's talking about more opportunities, more of those? It's not wide open. It's not a guarantee, but he's going to give Hollywood Brown a chance to make a play.
If I got one-on-one on the outside, I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance more often than he gave MVS or Watson a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt, and I felt like you saw at last year, especially with the turnovers early, because Mahomes had on deep balls last year. I think he had 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions on throws more than 20 yards downfield, and normally his ratio was reversed. I mean, normally he'd have like 12 touchdowns on 20-yard throws and 2 interceptions, and but as the season progressed, because I think of the turnovers. He started throwing the ball. I mean, he was trying to throw guys open downfield. And you can't do that because, especially, hey, maybe Marquez was losing a step last year, so that's made it even more difficult. But you didn't see, I mean, and part of this is because this wide receiver group is obviously now a little bit younger, a little bit faster. But you didn't see that, on Wednesday. You didn't see the, balls just outside of a guy's fingertips, just not even close. Yeah. I mean, Mahomes looked like he was much more comfortable putting the ball where it needed to go and trusting the receiver to go get it and not just simply, having to rely on the receiver getting there fast enough that he was just be able to put the ball. And once again, I mean, there's no contact, no touching, but there were some wide open guys, too, that were running some pretty solid routes. I mean, it wasn't just Hollywood either.
Well, that's where I wanted to go with this conversation. I had mentioned and joked in the first hour in the open that I'm glad that there are some national people that are listening to the show because this was a conversation on NFL Live yesterday. It's Mina Kimes, Damian Woody, and Mike Tannenbaum. And it's about 2.5, 3 minutes or so. They all get their turn in talking about this clip from Patrick Mahomes that Sterling was talking about in the deep passing game and how much more of a concerted, encouraged effort it will be to reincorporate that.
But I think this year we're going to have a team that's built to throw the ball deep. I mean, Coach Reed's been preaching it all offseason. We're going to get back to throwing the deep ball. I have to be smart when we do that, but at the same time, I want to be that explosive offense that we've seen in the past, and it takes pressure off the defense. And then when we get up, that's when Spagnuolo can really show off all those blitzes he's working on, man.
Mina, Mahomes says he wants to throw deep again. We love it. Do you see it playing out that way?
I do. Obviously, we know that Patrick is capable of doing that, and now they've got the speed on the field. But I think a couple things have to happen. One, I do expect them to face those too high coverages they did back when they had Tyreek Hill, so you got to be able to run them out of those or work underneath. And then the other thing is Patrick Mahomes needs the time to execute. So last year, I actually thought the Chiefs' offensive line played pretty well, despite having some issues with penalties, of course, at inopportune times, but he was decently well protected. Now, Donovan Smith is still out there. He is not your starting left tackle, and you're looking at a competition potentially between Wanya Morris, who was on the team, Kingsley Suamataia, who they drafted this year. That's a big question mark, Damian. I'm protecting the blind side of Patrick Mahomes, and if that doesn't look good early, that might stop him from attacking deep, even if he has the weapons on the receiving end to make that a possibility.
Yeah, man, it's actually like we've been talking about this for the past couple years with the Kansas City Chiefs, particularly at the tackle position. We know that Patrick Mahomes last year, he was 31st in air yards per attempt, the National Football League. And it's a combination of things. One, shaky protection, not giving Patrick Mahomes the time to really survey it, but also the wide receivers. Let's face it, the Chiefs, they really need to upgrade the wide receivers and add that explosive element. Guys who are reliable in catching a football. And you saw them add Hollywood Brown. You saw them add Xavier Worthy in the draft. So with those two guys, the one commonality between those two guys is they can blow the top off the defense. So we absolutely expect, if the protection holds up, that Patrick Mahomes should be able to push the ball down the field early. And that's going to – Travis Kelce should breathe a big sigh of relief if those guys can really help in that aspect of the game.
To what Mina and D. Wood said about their O-line struggles, this is remarkable. When the ball traveled 20 yards or more down the field, Patrick Mahomes only completed 28% of his passes and had one touchdown. That's Patrick Mahomes. That's unbelievable.
Hadn't heard that before.
A Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they were 29th in the league at that. So now that they had a couple guys that can go hit home runs, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, the question's going to be, as Mina and D. Wood alluded to, can they hold up front? Because if they can, you would think this should play to Patrick Mahomes' strength and actually get the ball down the field.
I do appreciate Mike Tannenbaum listening to the show, since we've been talking about that for a couple of months now in the 20-plus yard passes, and then we discussed it yesterday as well. Before NFL Live, by the way, we brought it up yet again before NFL Live, and, we went through the quarterback rating for Patrick Mahomes going back to 2018 on deep balls, passes that traveled at least 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. 2018, his rating was 106.4. 2019, 122.9.
Okay, let me guess about when you get to 2022. Let me guess.
Okay, 2023, you mean?
No, 2022. I want to do 22 and 23.
Okay, so
let me see if I can remember off the top of my head.
I'll go 18 through 21. 106.4, 122.9, 109.5, 113.3.
I want to say in 22 it was 107.1.
Correct.
Look at the big brain on Matt.
And
last year?
Because this was in, obviously you would have found this in Chiefs Digest and Hollywood Brown coming to Kansas City story. So you and I are... We're on the same page.
ChiefsDigest.com with Matt Derrick.
Last year on deep balls, Mahomes would have been better throwing it into the ground for a 39.6 passer rating. I want to say it was like 34.5?
34.1. Oh! It is amazing, though, if he just threw the ball into the ground... But he couldn't for 20 yards. But if he just threw the ball into the ground, he'd have a higher quarterback rating than what he actually had at 34.1. And Tannenbaum brought up the completion percentage of 28.6. And that goes in line with the quarterback rating because the completion percentage going back to his rookie year, or second year, 47.8, 50.8, 35.6, 44.9, 44.4, 28.6.
That 50 is nuts, by the way. 50% deep ball completion percentage on 20-plus yards.
But also you want to know the huge difference because let's use that one specifically. That was 2019, and this is what you and I talked about.
Yeah.
2019 and 2023, the same amount of attempts.
Yeah, it's like 63,
63
right?
attempts for both of them. But the drop rate was 3% in 2019, meaning they dropped 2 passes. And last year was 22%. Meaning 14 passes were dropped last year by receivers graded as drops past 20 yards down the field. So the completion percentage, the rating, the drop percentage, all is correlated there.
Do you have the touchdown interception ratios there too?
I don't. I thought that was dumb.
I mean, it's crazy.
I didn't. I should find it, but I'll add that to it.
I want to say I don't think that Mahomes had thrown more than maybe 2 interceptions in a single season on those deep balls, more than 20 yards downfield. And every season, I think that his worst total was maybe in 22 when maybe he had 6 or 7 touchdowns. And last year, it was completely flipped.
Yep.
And there was I think a season, probably 18 or 19, I want to say he had 12 touchdowns on those passes. And last year, 1 touchdown, 6 picks.
I'm going to guess it was 18 because he had the 50 touchdowns in 2018.
I just find this hilarious because all of the numbers last year should scream the Chiefs get knocked out first round.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of the NFL has to be sitting here going, we had our chance. We absolutely blew it. They now have Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. We now know where Rashee Rice is. Their defense is now salty. I mean, if you're a Bengals fan, you're sitting here going, oh, my gosh, we have all this disconnect with T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, and Joe Burrow can't finish the season. The Ravens are like, we had one of the best regular seasons analytically in NFL history, and we got knocked off. Miami's like, we can't win if it's less than 55 degrees. Buffalo's like, we are going to all of a sudden
win regardless.
Well, the Chiefs had no receivers last year, and they won, so we're going to give Josh Allen no weapons and see what happens, and they're old. Like, I'm just sitting around here going, the rest of the NFL has to be going, we blew our shot while the Chiefs.
The Texans?
I didn't say the Texans. The Texans have done a great job. The Texans are the one team that have actually rebuilt this the right way, which I said last year. I said going into last year, no one believed me. They called me crazy. I am crazy, but I was right on the Texans.
You used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they can call me Batman.
But my point is, the Chiefs went through their should have been lean years. They're lean years. The rebuilding, the retooling years.
Lean on me years.
With two Super Bowls. I'm just sitting here going, wow, rest of the NFL, thank you for blowing it.
And I'm sorry, I want to correct a number here. I did say, that I didn't think he ever had like more than 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. He did have 6 interceptions on deep balls in 2018. Okay. He had 6 interceptions last year on deep balls, 2018, over 20 yards. Last year, 1 touchdown. In 2018, 15 touchdowns.
15 to 6?
A little bit of a difference there. Yeah, from 15 to 6 to 1 to 6. So
unbelievable.
And what, to the clip that you played earlier, I mean, that's where defense is absolutely, and the teams in the AFC for sure, missed their opportunity. I mean, I know Soren talks about it. I mean, that was probably Baltimore's Super Bowl to try and win. I mean, that might have been San Francisco's Super Bowl to win. You should have beaten Chiefs last year because they were beatable.
Eagles Super Bowl 2 years ago.
And now, it's going to see how do defenses just say, oh, wait a minute, you know what? Well, what worked last year's not going to work anymore. We're going to have to go back to the old 2 high shells. You can't play 0 against the Chiefs. You can't play, single high safety. You're going to have to go back to rushing 4, playing 7, and 2 high safeties. Well, that's fine, but it also means that, you've got guys like, you got Hollywood, you got Travis, you got Worthy. You're going to have to leave 1 or 2 of those guys in single coverage now.
And when Rice comes back.
And when Rice is there, too, I mean, forget about Rice. You're talking about leaving 1 or 2 of those guys in single coverage. And that's why the 2018 Chiefs were so effective. Yeah. I mean, in 2022, those 2 high safety looks and shells were so successful because it was Tyreek or Travis. You could afford to double team them both. Mm-hmm. You get a third option on the field for this offense, and now you got to pick your poison. And we know if you leave if you leave in this offense, if you leave Brown or Kelsey in single coverage, they're going to eat you alive all day long.
It's like the Jordan thing, A lot of great basketball players don't have rings because Michael Jordan. And
right. Yeah. I think that's what Patrick Mahomes is doing. I mean, he's taking rings away from Lamar and Burrow and Josh Allen.
And as great as Jordan was, didn't win any rings on his own. But when you gave he had some options around him.
Not as early as Patrick either.
When he had Scotty, things got better. When he got Dennis Rodman, things got a lot better.
Horace Grant and Tony Kukoc, those were the guys.
You could point out that he never made it out of the first round
and
without Horace Grant and Scottie
salesman
Pippen
as well, dribbling the basketball, the shoulders.
A couple plumbers.
I hate that. Okay,
Why? Why do you hate that?
Basketball players were still very damn good back then. I'm not going to listen to you guys.
They were good. I'm just saying they'd be plumbers now.
They would not be plumbers now. We're not going to do this. I'm not doing this.
Really?
I'm not doing this with you boys. We're not getting into the 90s. You're acting like the 90s was the 1940s.
No, it wasn't.
Before the international game made its way over. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Where did Tony Kukoc come from?
International. I was going to say he was one of the first ones.
That's my point. He literally was international.
I know. There were some of them. That's right.
That would be the point.
They wouldn't be plumbers.
I think I mean,
I don't think LeBron's getting guarded by Jeff Hornacek in a NBA Finals.
I'll tell you what. I mean,
no, but different game. You look at Luka Doncic right now, or Nikola Jokic. You throw him in 1970, you go, well, that guy couldn't play in today's day and age. You would say the exact same thing just by looking at the guy. Okay, come on now.
I'll go the opposite way. I'm going to say on some of these. I mean, the NBA is so soft today. I think Dennis Rodman at his age could still go out and get 20 boards.
Also a bad take. Why where's the nuance? Where's the nuance, boys?
I love it. All right, we'll take a timeout. I was going to add something to it, but I don't even know what to add to it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I was going to add something to the actual football side of it.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
The deep passes there, but I don't even know what to. We'll take a timeout and we'll reset. We'll continue with more Zone right after this. Cap One Lending. He's from Chiefs Digest, and 41 is the Mike podcast.
Power Ballad Friday.
There
you
you're
go.
Damn right it is, man. So we get Power Ballads with Matt Derrick, and then we get Rock with Les Norman.
Hair metal. It's more
hair metal.
hair
It's
metal
band,
with,
hair metal with Les Norman.
Yeah.
The irony of that. So Matt is with us.
You beat me to it.
Matt's hanging out with us. All right, Matt. I talked a little bit about this yesterday. There is a part of me that is surprised to a degree that the Chiefs aren't approaching this year and saying, you know what, Trent, you're an all-pro cornerback at nickel. We're going to let you be. We're going to let you be. Keep doing that. We know what we have there, and we'll figure out how to fill L'Jarius Sneed's role instead of moving you to L'Jarius Sneed's role, and we'll figure out how to fix or fill the hole of a slot nickel cornerback there. So you were a slot all-pro as a slot, and now you're going to move outside. I was a little surprised by that, but when I started to think about it, I came to the conclusion that it's easier to have McDuffie fill the role of Sneed and somebody fill the role of McDuffie as a slot corner like a Shamari Khan or something like that than it would be finding either Watson or Williams together or Nick Jones or Najee Johnson to then fill the role of an outside cornerback. Were you surprised at all, or when we hear from Trent McDuffie that no, he's playing the outside? He wants to travel. I don't know if that's going to happen, but he's playing the outside, and they're going to fill the slot position.
No, I mean it doesn't surprise me. I mean that's what I figured they would do. I mean because hey, in your base formations, I mean McDuffie's still going to be outside. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no doubt. So I mean most of the time he's going to be on the outside anyway. I mean he was on the outside most of the time last year anyway. So and with Shamari Connor, I mean, you still have the luxury. I mean, you still have the ability that, hey, in multiple receiver sets, if you've got the right look, hey, he can still kick inside. And like you mentioned, I mean, if he ends up traveling, you can still have him playing inside.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It just depends. I mean, really, the only thing I would say that would be the hey, can Trent McDuffie play outside is the arm length and the size because he is going to be going up against bigger receivers, but. Trent McDuffie's good enough to play anywhere. I mean, he can play any of those spots. So I have no concerns about it. It's just where do you deploy your best corner?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to typically put him on the outside. The question to me is going to be more of, is he a traveler in that he's going to flip sides depending on, who's positioned where, or are they going to go back to left and right and stick with that? I mean, I think that was always going to be a bigger question for me than whether McDuffie was going to be outside or not.
Honestly, I know you're not a cornerback in the NFL, but just a good point. How difficult is it for those guys to switch? Like, obviously, left tackle, right tackle, huge difference. It's the way you push off, the way you're going. But if you're a cornerback, and let's say you're normally on the left side, now you're on the right side, how much of a change is that for these guys?
I mean, my understanding is that, I mean, even though you talk about, like linemen talk about it being a much bigger change than I think that for corners do. And, and part of that I would assume is just simply because even on any given route, I mean, you've got to be prepared to go both directions. So I don't think that you have to, worry about, like Mitch Schwartz has said, I mean, flipping sides. I mean, it's just like, I think this is his comparison. So Mitch, if it's not yours, I don't mean to put these words into your mouth, but I think he once said it's like trying to go to the bathroom with your other hand, and trying to use toilet paper with the other hand.
I've heard trying to brush your teeth with the other hand.
It's the same concept too. I mean, that's what it is
for
a lineman.
But it's a little more stiff and rigid, and you're sort of not as easy flowing or smooth, but you can still get the job done to a degree.
Yeah, but for corners, I mean, so much of everything is, I think side, positionless, irrelevant. I mean, and it's not that you can't have guys who are certainly more comfortable on one side or the other, but I think they're better prepared to play both sides.
But so if they can do that, and if it's not as big a deal, then why? I'm not trying to push back because again, we're on the same page here. But why don't we see more cornerbacks traveling then? If it's not as difficult,
because you're traveling with the best receiver, so you got to be.
But don't you want your best cornerback on the best receiver?
Sometimes your best cornerback just isn't as good to travel, or scheme wise. But go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean that would be my guess. I mean, is that part of it is that I think you travel. I think for a team for it to make sense, I think you've got to be just one of those guys. I mean, you've got and not every team who has one of those guys. Because honestly, I mean, I think that to effectively do it, or at least for coaches to have confidence that somebody can do it, you probably have to be one of those top 15 guys. And can think about it too. I mean, if you are somebody, I mean, if you're not a L'Jarius Sneed or a Trent McDuffie or a Darrelle Revis or something of that nature, and you're going up against the other team's best guy every single time, and maybe you're just the number 2 corner at heart, I mean, getting abused all day might be just a little bit too taxing. It's certainly physically taxing. It's probably mentally taxing too. So, I mean, I think that's probably one reason why is that, if you're not up for the challenge, I mean, you're just kind of asking for trouble in the long term probably.
With McDuffie, I think it'll be a case-by-case basis, a game-by-game basis with him traveling. I think
it was for L'Jarius starting out, yeah.
I think there will be games where they look at it and McDuffie can match up with the skill set of the number 1 wide receiver, and he'll travel. There might be some games where DK Metcalf they're going up against, and they're like, well, you're not traveling with DK Metcalf because this guy's going to out-physical you. He's got long arms, he's big and strong, and you don't have the size to travel with him, so we'll scheme it that way.
Yeah, I mean, if the other team's best receiver is 6'4", I probably don't want Trent McDuffie traveling with him all day.
Where L'Jarius Sneed could travel with all different types because he was built that way, and he was a phenomenal cornerback. Trent McDuffie is a phenomenal cornerback, but doesn't have the size and length that L'Jarius Sneed had, which is then you're wondering who takes a step forward because last year it was obvious the Chiefs were still searching for that cornerback on the outside opposite Sneed because it wasn't just, okay, Williams, you won the job. Then it was, okay, well, now Watson's in this game. Okay, well, now we're going back to Williams. Okay, well, then it's Watson. Well, we thought we might have something in Najee Johnson, but we have no idea because he tore his ACL. So a hope that maybe year 3, one of those guys step up and play pretty good because, you still have to get hopefully better production from that because you are going to take a step back in the slot, just simply going from Trent McDuffie to whoever it might be, whether that be Shamari Connor or Trent McDuffie mentioned Nick Jones was playing in the slot yesterday. He talked about that or Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of options there. Joshua Williams, I would probably say, it would be the clubhouse leader at this point. And
to play on the outside opposite McDuffie.
Play opposite McDuffie. And then, but it's a close competition. I mean, and then you've got a group that's Jalen Watson. It's Nick Jones. Holmes mentioned him Wednesday, but he was standing out on the field. I mean, I saw it too, so, I mean, it wasn't a surprise. Kelvin Joseph, who's a new addition.
Wow.
He's in that conversation. He would be in that group. And now we're not even talking about guys who looked really good last year, like Najee Johnson before the injury, like Echo Boydo, who should be,
Kamal Hayden,
back.
who was
Kamal
drafted.
Hayden, who's drafted and is going to be in that conversation.
He looks the part.
I have no concerns about the depth of that cornerback position. To me, it's. I think they're going to have a hard time whittling it down, frankly, to 5 or 6 guys, and and how many you're going to keep because I probably have at least 4 safeties that you're going to want to keep too. And Deion Bush, I think you can still stash in the practice squad and be that guy, but man, and I thought it was very notable that, I kind of asked, Patrick about the scouting report on the young receivers, and he goes out of his way to bring up Hayden Hicks. Jaden Hicks, rather. Hayden Hicks. Kamal Haddon, Jaden Hicks. It's going to get me eventually.
If you combine those guys,
finally got me.
You combine those guys, what an amazing player.
And he's right. Hicks looks the part. My goodness, he looks like a hit stick out there. And looked really comfortable.
Was Brian Cook back and looking healthy, or what? Did you see him out there?
He and Najee Johnson were kind of in the same category in that they both were doing individual drills, position drills. Neither one of them were in team activities yet, so that's the expectation. Both of them would probably, if they could, especially Cook was like, hey, if he can get on the field during OTAs, that's a bonus. But they were, and he might. The expectation. From my understanding was that they were like, best case scenario is that he was at least on the field for the beginning of OTAs and maybe he's in team drills by minicamp. But at the very least, both those guys with Najee should be full go by training camp, they're hoping.
Any interest in Stephon Gilmore being out there?
Honestly, no.
Okay. Dylan is very interested in it.
I'm sorry, Dylan.
It's okay.
And
right.
There was a website yesterday that looked at the veteran free agents remaining and the best fits, and Gilmore was connected to the Chiefs. As the best fit would be Stephon Gilmore with the Chiefs, still looking to fill the L'Jarius Sneed role, and how much faith do they have in Williams and Watson, and it gives them another option that's there.
You just simply look at that group. We're already talking McDuffie, Williams, Watson, Haddon, Nick Jones. I mean, we're already
Hopefully
up to
Najee Johnson.
Echo Boydo, baby.
Yeah.
Don't forget Echo Boydo.
I mean, we're just even
You're
if
just
you,
echoing over there his name. We're not going to forget it.
even if you just take guys that they've
Boydo,
drafted in the
Boydo,
last 3 years, you've already filled up a roster.
But does it feel a little bit like we're outside of McDuffie? Okay, so McDuffie's different. But does it feel a little bit like the cornerback spot we're talking about the way that we did wide receivers last year? I mean, you got Tony and Sky Moore and MVS and Watson, and you got Justin Ross, and you get all these different guys. Like, how are you going to find and whittle it down to only have like 5 or 6 where you didn't really have one outside of McDuffie? But then it's like you got Watson and Williams and Najee Johnson and Nick Jones and Kamal Haddon, and you got these guys that might fill in, but nobody that's really stepped up and said, this is my job. I'm taking the job outside, opposite of Trent.
And I don't mean this as a knock against the receivers, but let's just say, I mean, I think that even given the step backwards that Jalen Watson, I think, and maybe it wasn't even a step backwards, maybe it was just a plateau last year. I mean, and some guys don't, I mean, I remember Tyrann Mathieu giving a very impassioned speech about this, about how, I mean, everybody talks about the year 1 to year 2 leap, and he's just like, not everybody does it. I mean, sometimes it's year 2 to year 3 that's when it really kicks in for guys. And, and Williams and Watson are probably good examples of that, because all along Josh Williams was viewed as the guy who had the higher ceiling. It was just going to take him longer to get there. Smaller school, all that aspect and everything. Jalen Watson, I think, was a little bit older, been around a little bit more, so he probably came out with a higher floor, but maybe a little bit lower ceiling. So maybe that's just what we're seeing a little bit with those two guys. But tell me, I mean, at this point in their careers, who's the better player, Jalen Watson or Sky Moore? I say Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
Who's the better player? I mean, honestly, who's the better player? I mean, Nick Jones or Kadarius Toney? I mean,
I'd rather have Nick Jones.
Williams,
I'd rather have Nick Jones as a wide receiver than Kadarius Toney.
and I think Josh Williams would be better than all of them. So I mean, I think
Have we tried Tony at cornerback though?
Oh, good call.
He's so quick.
Well, because he
doesn't have to catch.
Yeah, you don't.
You know,
That's a whole knock.
Maybe that's why they're safe.
He'd be a wide receiver if he had hands. So now let's try it with Kadarius Toney.
It's like they always say when the cornerback drops the intercept. Well, that's why he plays cornerback. That's why he plays defense. You know, it's they haven't done that for Kadarius Toney. It's like, that's why he plays defense.
We're on to something.
I think we are.
I mean, and the real benefit, obviously, is that there wasn't an all-pro receiver in that room last year. You got an all-pro corner.
Yeah.
So, that takes a lot of the load off right there. And then when you start going on, I mean, yeah, you can say, hey, if you got a lot of corners, maybe you don't have one. I mean, you do. Well,
They at least have one.
You have one.
Yeah, they definitely have one.
And
So,
Spags, so.
And it's Spagnuolo.
Good call.
I mean, and that's the other thing, I mean, it works with receivers too, but that's the thing, is that the Chiefs have just done such a good job of getting corners that fit their need. And that's something that really has evolved as Spagnuolo has been there, is that they've done a really good job of just getting players that fit what he wants to do. They may not be the best at their position around the league at doing things. A guy like Mike Nana may not be. I mean, he has more value to the Chiefs than I think he would to any other team in the league.
I think we saw that with the market.
Absolutely, exactly. I mean, the rest of the league was just like, he's a nice player and all, but he's
got like 6 sacks in like a couple of years. Like, this is a defensive end.
But
like,
I mean, for Spags, I mean, he is an absolutely valuable glue guy.
So the only way that Gilmore would make sense to you is just 1 year prove it that he's not really looking for, obviously.
I mean, I think, to me, he's just
luxury.
I don't even know if it's a luxury. I think it's a risk to a degree, just because he would be taking away development snaps from younger guys, and I just worry that at his age and at this point, at some point it's going to drop off, and he just may not be the guy that you think he is. I mean, Darrelle Revis was certainly that.
Yeah.
He was not the guy that you think he is.
They finally got Ty Law.
And it is a cliff position. Where
it is a cliff position.
He'll be 34 September. So he's 33 now, but 34, and that's the prime for catchers.
There it is.
So,
I was going to say, if he played catcher, he'd be coming into his prime.
Let's be real. I mean, he's already not what he used to be. So,
you
have to kind of
which is why he's still available.
But it's, is he better than Josh Williams at this point? I mean, I think I'd probably take the upside and the health of a Josh Williams over, a 34-year-old guy that, you're right, it's a cliff.
Good point.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and wrap things up with Matt Dare coming up next.
Open practice next week is Thursday, so it'll be fresh the next day.
And then the week after that, is that Thursday or is that Tuesday through Friday? And then there's the mandatory minicamp after that. So there's 3 more weeks of this whole.
I want to say it's, in my head it's June 6th. I think is the.
No, I'm going to take your word
that
for
week.
it.
I just can't remember what day that is.
Yeah, no, I'll take your word for it. But we'll talk to you next week because that open practice Thursday, so we get a fresh take.
That's right.
From Matt after next week's OTAs. See how other guys look.
We can overreact to
fresh squeezed.
That's right. As an all juice team.
We can overreact to a bunch of people in shirts and shorts again.
Well, let's hopefully we get to
no nuance Friday. That's what we'll have.
Everyone's a Hall of Famer.
Hopefully we get to react to seeing Xavier Worthy because we can overreact to the fact that another soft tissue issue with the soft tissue issue. My goodness. Thank you, Matt.
free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
Looking for Les Norman for a couple days now.
Touch a sable in your eyes.
Breaking with Les walking in.
Oh, is it something about bullpen arm?
Bullpen arm. Carlos Hernandez returned from rehab assignment and reinstated from the injured list.
What's the corresponding move?
Tyler Duffy,
DFA?
designated for assignment.
If you didn't see that coming, maybe I should just walk back out.
Yeah,
okay, well, we knew it was happening, but we
didn't know when.
Don't rip on me,
Hernandez was-
Les. Come
You
on.
could see it on Tyler Duffy's face the other day.
Yeah. Well, you could see it on in his numbers too.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? He got a major league check for a couple of weeks, so there are worse things to get.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, there are worse things to get. But Carlos Hernandez waiting for him to get back up with the big league club and go through the rehab assignment. And the expected corresponding move was Tyler Duffy DFA'd. We're visiting with Les Norman. He's hanging out with us here for the hour, presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook, victim of wrongful personal injury seeking compensation. Then call Biesterveld and Crook at 913-LAW-5050. That's 913-LAW-5050. All right, so what do we make of adding Carlos Hernandez into the bullpen? The stuff and velocity is something they don't have, really, in the bullpen right now. But there's also the inconsistency with Carlos Hernandez to look unhittable and then to look very hittable from time to time. So what do we make of adding this arm to the bullpen?
Don't screw it up. No, it's I think it's a good thing. He has to come in and not put that pressure on himself like, oh, we're doing really good, so I can't mess up, because that's when you start either walking people or grooving it. You know what I mean? He's just got to relax and feel like, you know what, this team's doing great. I can settle in and relax. There's nothing to really to worry about or fear. Let me just get after it. As long as he takes that attitude, you got to get over that little bit. Okay, I'm back in the big leagues. I've been chomping at the bit. I've been working hard on my rehab assignments, on and on. So it's the mindset. The stuff is there. Don't start overthinking, and don't pitch to not fail. Just go attack your hitters like you can do.
Yeah, and hopefully he does that. But it does give Quattro an element of, okay, we need a strikeout here or there. So let's bring in a power righty. Is he going to get it? I don't know. He hasn't typically been a guy that, even with his stuff, has missed a lot of bats.
Yeah.
But maybe there's because it's a profile in a bullpen that doesn't necessarily have that profile, maybe it'll work a little more effectively. I don't know. I'm hoping so.
Well, Les, don't ask you that, because we talk about Carlos Hernandez's stuff all the time, but the strikeout numbers aren't really there. 2021 was his probably best year. He had a 3.68 ERA, 85 and 2/3 innings, 74 strikeouts, right? In today's day and age, that's not bad, but for a guy with that stuff, that's not great. 2022 really struggled, 56 innings, 35 strikeouts, 7.39 ERA. That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, 5.27 ERA, 70 innings, 77 strikeouts, right? But still, I think a lot lower than what most would expect for a dude with his stuff. His career, 226 innings, 199 strikeouts. Again, for a guy with that, again, we talk stuff. What makes a guy who has great quote-unquote stuff not able to strike out as many guys? Again, you would know, being a major league hitter right here. Why is that?
It's your brain. It's your mental approach. Because if I'm able to hit home runs and I don't hit home runs, and it's not mechanics, then it's got to be your mindset. It's got to be the way you approach it. Are you swinging too hard? Are you guessing? So on the pitching side, if you try to be too fine. I mean, we talked about a few years ago, we were talking about Brady Singer and walks, or sometimes he would just get blasted, and he was trying to pick on the corners, which would then his sinker would come over the middle of the plate. He was giving up home runs. But then it's the same Brady Singer who's just throwing more changeups, but it's also the same Brady Singer who's more confident and thriving under veteran pitching around him. And that's why you see the rotations strikeouts like every night. We're expecting probably some kind of double digits. And so with Hernandez, he's just got to get to a point. Now, I'm not going to look at his first outing because it's been a while, and he's probably going to be ramped up and all that. I'm not going to look at that. Maybe even not his second, but a little bit his second outing. But he got to get that first one out of the way. And so If he's all over the place and he's getting behind in counts, that's when you're overthrowing. So someone like Carlos Hernandez, I never want anybody to get hurt. But if you have to go on the DL, and then once you're healthy and you come back, you go on that rehab assignment, that makes me happy in the sense that, okay, now's your opportunity to learn how to pitch with a little more calm in your head. Now's the opportunity to work on your stuff and pound the outside, because on a rehab assignment, sure, the other guys that are in AAA want to win all the time. But look, you're a big league pitcher, rehab assignment. No offense, but I'm not here to help you win. I'm here to get ready to help my big league club win. So whether I win or lose or I get shelled or not, I'm working on something. So I'm hoping that down there it wasn't just about Carlos Hernandez getting healthy. It's getting your mind right. It's working on what your weaknesses are, and then you bring that to the table. So the short answer, it's your mental approach, because he's proven that he has good stuff. It just hasn't translated to the strikeouts that we thought it would.
It also shows, like, just by averaging a fastball of 99 miles an hour doesn't mean that you're going to have unhittable stuff in today's game. Because 99 and straight,
hitters are good.
They're pretty good. They can hit it. It's not Paul Skeens 101 with 17 inches of run.
Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. Either one. It's not a frisbee. It's not a 100-mile-an-hour frisbee that's going there. Also, I do wonder, like, how much a predictability factor with Carlos Hernandez, because, we talk about, like, right-hand pitchers, you need something to attack a lefty, so we're going to throw a changeup against a lefty, right? It was Brady Singer. You got to do something against lefties. Throw a changeup up there. But Carlos Hernandez was pretty predictable last year. He'd throw four-seamers to both sides, but 85% of his – what's going on? Are they coming for you, Les?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, that's why I wasn't here Tuesday. I think they finally have caught up with me. At least I got 3 days out of it.
Is Scotty Scheffler around?
I'm not sure. You know what?
Turn off your body cam.
Chiefsaholic got a few months out of it, so you only got 3 days. You got a few days. Chiefsaholic
I did
got a few
not
months.
rob any banks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that you want to admit to right now.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
But his four-seamer, he'll throw evenly to both sides of the plate, right-handers, left-handers. But the slider is going to be 85% that he's throwing to right-handers, slider. And his split finger is like 93%. To the left-handers. Like, if you're a right-hander, I don't have to worry about a split finger. And if I'm a left-hander, I don't have to worry about a slider. Like, I'm just worried about two pitches here. And if he's in the bullpen, if those two pitches are awesome, you're perfectly fine. He's got 3 pitches that he throws, at least 15% of the time.
Yeah.
It's just against a certain batter, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. Does that matter at all? Or is it the stuff that, okay, if I'm a left-hander up there and I've got a fastball and a split finger, if it's nasty, it doesn't matter if those are the only 2 things I'm worried about because I can't hit it. Or if I'm a righty, I got a four-seamer and a slider, it doesn't. If those are nasty, it doesn't matter. Those are the only 2 things I'm worrying about. I'm not going to hit them.
The problem with Hernandez in the past, though, and I think maybe I should have added this, Sterling, with why it hasn't translated to strikeouts, is that whether you have good nasty 2 or kind of nasty 3, big league hitters aren't just going to crush pitches over the middle of the plate. They can go up there and know that if this is your best pitch and you're not throwing it for a strike, they're not even going to swing at it. And you might accidentally throw it for a strike, but you're not going to throw it for 2, and for sure you're not going to throw it for 3. So they're smart enough to sit on a certain location or a certain pitch. It's not always, I'm just looking dead red, because you won't be a good hitter in the big leagues there. You're looking zone more so. And so that's why he's got to be really good. If his 2 best pitches are on that day, you got to throw him for strikes, or you got to throw him not for a strike. It's got to look like 95% of the path for a strike, and then the bottom drops out. Or you get guys chasing because you're so close on this slider that now you've got them diving away, and you hammer them with that 99 with a little bit of movement on the inside corner, and they freeze up or you shatter their bat. And so you've got to get into a good major league hitter's head to make your stuff even better, and I think that's the one thing that's been missing in his career so far.
And maybe he's improved on some of these things, but last year's heat map wasn't great. It was a four-seamer pretty much right down the middle. Yeah,
is that what you have up?
We had the exact same thing pulled up. Yeah.
So
I thought you were just practicing your dartboard right there, because there's a couple bullseyes in the middle.
That's all bullseyes. Great dart play.
But again, it's like worrying about 2 pitches. So your four-seamer's right down the middle, and when you're a right-handed batter, the slider, the heat map is all low and away. So if it's down the middle, it's going to be straight. If it's low and away, it's going to be a slider. And if it's starting on the edge of the strike zone, I'm going to go ahead and spit on it because that thing's going to end up outside of the strike zone. The split finger to a lefty, low and away. Like that's the heat map. So it's almost predicting that down the middle, somewhere in the strike zone, this is going to be a four-seam fastball, and it's pretty straight, unfortunately, for Carlos Hernandez and his pitch shape. If it's anywhere away, that thing's going to be falling off the table, and I'm either going to spit on it or I'm going to then take it the other way and put it in play. If those things have to be different. Like the four-seamer can't be the heat map right down the middle. Like you got to be working the corners and the edges, and you got to throw some four-seamers down and away to where the hitter thinks that this thing's going to drop off the table. I'm going to let it go. Oh, boom, down and away corner. I'm out. Strike three. Tip my cap and go back to the dugout.
One of the things that I would look at in the on-deck circle, or if I was coming up and they changed pitchers, so I stay in the on-deck circle and I'm watching or I'm thinking on this person's last outing, I'm not just looking at the stats, because any guy can be a stud, whether it's pitching or hitting in that particular at-bat or that particular day, even when they're struggling. Okay, it can happen. So I'm looking at the guy's face. And if you remember a little bit in the past, when Carlos Hernandez maybe didn't get a call, or he just wasn't on and was walking some guys, or he threw something 99, and whether it was a hard out or a home run and it just got tagged, his face looks different. Now you face a guy like a Farnsworth. Remember, Farnsworth was a stud, Quadzilla, Jeremy Affeld's best friend. So Farnsworth
likes to fight guy.
Absolutely. So he was menacing on the field. Not only was he good, he was menacing. And he's like that Rob Dibble type. I'll throw the ball at you if you get a hit on me kind of thing.
Yep.
And so I did a clinic not too long ago here in Raytown. I think it was last year. And we did a clinic, and a bunch of guys from all over the country were there, and Farnsworth was there. And just sitting next to him, talking to him, I was super intimidated, not because he had like 1.2% body fat and he was huge, but he had the same look on his face like, dude, I don't have a bat in my hand. Do you want to strike me out or something? We need to go play wiffle ball. I mean, it is so intimidating on their body language and how they look. And so I'm not afraid of a guy who looks like he's a little bit nervous up there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to dig in more, and that's what I would like to see from Carlos Hernandez. Like, I may walk you, you may hit me, but you better bring a lunch, because we're going to be here, and we're going to be here for a while, and that's the intimidating in-your-head kind of thing that he needs to bring to the table this year.
Going with you, Jason, here a second, with that four-seamer, and we looked at the heat map together, and it was funny, we're looking at the same time. His four-seamer last year got hit 272, slugged 507. Year prior, 2022, they batted 363 against it, slugged at 581. It doesn't matter if you throw 99 or 100, and again, to your point here, you can throw 100. It has to have movement, and it has to be well located. If it's right down the middle, that is getting rocked. I mean, his slider last year was pretty good. 182 against, 325. That location, fine. But you have to move that four-seamer around the split finger to the lefties. 200, slugging 267 against. It's that four-seamer. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You got to get it either up in the zone or down. Corners or not. If it's right down the middle, it's getting bombed, and that's what we've seen the past few seasons from Carlos Hernandez.
Right, but the third part of that, too, you talk about location, right? You're talking about location, and you're talking about movement. But the thing also is that even if I have good movement and good location, but that's all you can throw for a strike, as a hitter, I can adjust. I can sneak. If you're coming inside, I might be able to cheat a little bit. If you're throwing it away, I can look away and either foul it off until you groove something. So you have to be able to set that up with a secondary or third pitch. And if that's all you got, even with good movement, yeah, you might get me more than usual, but I'm not afraid of you, and I still have a fighting chance. That's that 360 versus 270. Now, if you've got a good off-speed pitch that you're throwing well, and you can throw that for a strike, or it is nasty, now your 99, 100 looks like 110. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, there are guys that have blown me away in my past on 91 because I was looking for a Big Ben curveball that guy had, and just the thought that he's got a really good curveball today. I mean, that's what Rick Ankiel did to me in the minor leagues. I mean, his curveball was the best I'd ever seen. And I swung at a fastball that might have been 2 feet out of the zone, but it's because I was looking for his curveball and he didn't throw it, and I waved at it. He made me look horrible. And so he didn't have to have the great fastball. He just got in my head in thinking that his curveball was so good that I just couldn't hit it. So that's what my focus was. So he's got to be able to have a secondary or third pitch to set up the fastball. If he doesn't, that's where you get in trouble.
It's like, what's his, Shota, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, the Cubs pitcher, the lefty from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's Shota. I don't know how to pronounce his last
Just
name.
Just say Shota.
So I apologize. But he throws 91. He throws 91. He's a great split finger. It's mostly only 2 pitches, but because you talk. One of the quotes that was given to him was, "That guy's not very good, but he's unhittable." 0.84 ERA this year.
Yeah.
And it's all based on location, and it's all based on deception. All these players are saying, it's 91. It looks like 97. You're late on it every single time because he plays the split finger so well with the fastball.
But they both look the same coming out of the hand with spin, too, so you can't read it until you commit. Once your hands commit forward, you're not going to stop. It's like playing golf. Once you start your swing, I already know I'm going to slice this, but you can't stop doing it.
Why are we seeing the split finger come back into popularity so much now? Because it felt like it wasn't as popular. Now it's like so many pitchers are throwing a split finger now, or learning to throw a split finger, reincorporating that into more of the pitcher's sort of a repertoire.
I think injuries has a lot to do with that. People don't want to get hurt. But then you start to see it come back because this guy's successful, this guy's getting paid, this guy's striking people out. So injuries, another $20 million. Injuries, I might shorten my career but make another $50 million, and I want to strike guys out too if I'm on the mound. And so it's probably just that pendulum swing back and forth.
We've talked a lot about Bobby Witt Jr. this year, and he's just been he's starting to come on a little bit, and I feel like he's showing flashes less of being a good player. I don't know if he's one of the best players I've seen, certainly at his age. It's unbelievable. And I can't remember, did you cross paths with Johnny Damon or Carlos Beltran in the minors?
Yes, well, we were in the big leagues together. And the reason why in my 2 years in the big leagues that I was never a starter was the first reason his name was Carlos Beltran, and the second reason his name was Johnny Damon.
Jerks.
So I basically I was their caddy for 2 years.
You're blocked.
Yes.
You're blocked.
But I mean, you see that, like Johnny Damon coming up. Again, I've talked about one of my favorite baseball cards that Johnny Damon ended up keeping was the baseball card of Johnny Damon and King Griffey Jr. on the same card. And then Carlos Beltran, he came up with Dos Carlos. It was Carlos Beltran and Carlos Fabulous,
Yeah.
And we see just this. I mean, Beltran was so much fun to watch in the outfield because people used to say, well, he's dogging it. Like, no, he just glides. He's running fast. He just looks like he's floating across. He looks like you jogging, okay? Because that's how athletically gifted he is. His head's not bobbing. His body's not. He's just taking a direct route and floating over to the ball. It was so much fun to watch. But how easy is it to sort of spot a player like that's going to be, and Bobby can be better than both of them. It's early in his career. He can be better than both those guys, and those guys had long, illustrious careers in Major League Baseball.
Hall of Famer, Brian Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, and so, was it easy to spot that as it maybe was with the sort of the Royals and seeing what they had in Bobby Witt coming through, or did you have to see some things happen at the big league level to go, all right, I can see what's there, and then, okay, now I see the superstar potential that's there?
So in the minor leagues, first of all, you watch these guys or even hear these guys. Maybe you're having a conversation and you're hearing batting practice and it's background noise. And all of a sudden somebody, all of a sudden you just, it's and then you hear someone and it sounds different, and then who's hitting right now? And you look up and it's Bobby Witt Jr. hitting. Back in spring training of 95, Lamar Johnson had us doing this drill where you have a partner. Carlos Beltran was my partner. We were on the left side of home plate. There was another people on the right side of home plate. Somebody was over at third base. I think Randa and somebody was up over at third base, and then a pair was up over there. And we were soft tossing to each other. And it was the field. It was at Baseball City. It was the field right next to the big league field. So it was the main practice field, but it was the nicest practice field. And you're talking, 410 to center field. 10 feet behind it is the 30-foot batter's eye that was dark, okay? And so I'm soft tossing and I'm topping balls, and I might have hit a couple to the warning track, but again, you're just soft tossing. It's coming at you 2 miles an hour, so there's no physics there. You're supplying all the power, right? Yeah. And so I get up there and I take my, we're working on hitting backspin line drives. It's the purpose of the drill to manipulate your bat angle to make things backspin, so you're creating the muscle memory. So then we switch, and Beltran gets up there left-handed. His first 3 balls, line drives off the batter's eye. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I couldn't believe it. I just kept going, line drive off the outfield wall. Home run to left center, 30 feet into the parking lot. Minor league guys getting their cars dinged and all that. And he's like, okay, let's switch. So we switch right-handed. Home run over the batter's eye with no physics of 90 miles an hour. I'm like, Carlos, how do you do that? And he said 3 words. I no try. He just said, I no try. And he was right. I'm up there trying to muscle and backspin and doing all those things. But the point of all that is when you watch Carlos Beltran, like you said, when he runs, he glides. There's something about those 1 in a billion athletes that when they move, when they swing, when they throw, when they catch a ball, they do it so smoothly, like it's in their DNA, and they've mastered it when they're little. And when I watch Bobby Witt Jr. swing a bat, when I watch him run, when I watch him take ground balls, when I watch him throw, there was video, you watch him standing there at a school a couple days ago when he's working with kids, and there's like this big old dip in his back and shoulders, this big old muscular kid, and these huge thighs he's got on him and all that. He's just a specimen who, when he moves, it's natural, and it's just in his DNA. And thank you, family, and thank you, everyone that had a part of it, that he's a humble, thankful kid. So he's got all of that, and that's what I see in him.
Well, and one of the things that, I just marvel at is, when I see an Aaron Judge or Mark McGwire, right?
Beasts.
Giancarlo Stanton, who's just built like an Adonis, and these guys are hitting Stantonian home runs, right? And then Bobby Witt Jr. comes up there, 6'1", 200, and he hits 470. Like that, the power generated by that guy from what doesn't look like a guy who's just going to hit tanks. Now, that's 25 feet farther than his farthest home run he's hit in his career. But generating that power, is that the mechanics of the swing? Is that all of the body and sort of that rubber band whip action coming through at the exact same time that's connecting? Is it something special specifically with him that he's able to generate that power by being somebody who is not 6'3", 220, 225, and he's hitting 470?
Yeah, great question. First of all, when you stand next to Bobby Witt Jr., he's uncharacteristically bigger than what he looks like on TV. I mean, he looks like he's pretty good size on TV, and it depends on who he's standing next to. But when you stand next to him, like, oh, you know, the old Roadhouse thing, I thought you'd be bigger. He's the opposite. You don't look that big, but you're big. And he really is. But to be able to do what he does, I mean, we've seen him turn on 98-mile-an-hour inside fastballs and not like pull it into the corner and hook it because he's cheating, to keep his hands inside, still stay through the ball, and not snap that top wrist over until he's through it. I mean, he just has an exceptional work ethic. He's got exceptional hand-eye coordination. I mean, it's unbelievable. God has gifted him with some amazing stuff. But it's the work ethic. It's also the timing. It's the strength of his core. It's the ability, the maturity to be able to pick certain counts, what he can and what he can't. And I don't know if there's anything really he can't get to right now, because we've seen him 6 inches off the plate hammer home runs to right center or down the right field line. He can turn on anything. So it's a bunch of giftedness combined with discipline, with work ethic. And Bobby Witt Jr. is also very coachable. That's the humility. He's a great listener. He'll listen to anybody. He appreciates when people try to work with him. So he is just the whole package in every way, with physical, maturity, coachability, you name it, he's got it. And on the hitting side, you add exceptional timing to come with his hand-eye coordination. He knows when to pull the trigger. He knows when he's beat and how to adjust. And it's uncanny. You are seeing a once-in-a-lifetime type of player. And it's not – the statistics are a result of that. It's not because of the statistics.
Yeah, it reminds me of, like, Giancarlo Stanton is almost like Bryson DeChambeau, right? It's like, well, of course, he's that big. Of course, he hits that far, all that stuff. Well, Bobby Witt's like Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, or Justin Thomas.
Where it's like, how's that guy
be hitting that far?
Well, it's because everything is in one. It's just a perfect swing. Bobby Witt Jr. has a perfect swing. And I that one that went 468, I'm sitting here going, I don't understand how he does that. I don't get it. But that's what it reminds me of. It's almost like Rory, where it's just everything is just so connected. There's no moving parts.
Connected's a great word.
It's just I'm just always so impressed with Bobby Witt Jr. And we talk about it, and you brought it up right there. It's not just the statistics; it's the process as well. This is a guy whose process is outweighing what he's actually put up numbers-wise. Like, the process is even better than the stats he's put up, which is crazy to think about a guy batting 308, 365, 551. But it's true. one of the best processes we have seen at the plate, and it's almost team-wide. So I want to give a lot of credit to the Royals organization right now for the transition of value in the process more. The Vinny Pasquantinos, Michael Garcia starting to take a few more walks. Bobby Witt Jr. taking a few more walks. Salvi at age 34 taking more walks.
On base at 400, baby.
But, like, again, the process to me has been a huge factor for the turnaround offensively for some of these guys.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I wanted to talk with Les Norman about this. I read this story on Tuesday morning, and been looking forward to having a conversation with Les Norman. MLB.com has a story out there about two-strike approach now that the Major League Baseball has released all of the StatCast data. Is there a such thing as a two-strike approach, and does that show up in some of the advanced analytics? We'll do that next. Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com. First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook.
Come on, get the snaps going.
Sorry. We did it. We did it, everybody. We snapped.
3 in a row.
They lost more than the Keys.
Oh, did they?
What else did they lose?
I have no idea.
Les, what do you think they lost there?
Gas mileage?
Yep, that's right.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Time.
Trust from parents since they lost their keys. There's a lot of things that you can lose in a night like that.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. Les Norman is hanging out with us, breaking the norm. You hear it on Tuesdays. Two-strike approach. Thought this was fascinating.
Great
I read this,
topic.
MLB.com, I read this. We always hear like a two-strike approach, right? You got 2 strikes. How much, as a hitter, did you change what you were doing at the plate if you had 2 strikes on you?
First of all, there's 2 times to use a 2-strike approach. One, the obvious, when you have 2 strikes. But when you're struggling and you're in a bad slump and you can't see anything or you're striking out or you can't hit a ball hard, you need to go to a 2-strike approach. And the reason you do it is because it provides you an opportunity to see the ball longer. Because when you're slumping, you're not seeing the ball well at all. So a 2-strike approach for me was you need to get a little bit wider to take the stride out. Because that's actually, when Mike Sweeney first got to the big leagues, he was like a 220 hitter. And I think Muser even told him, you're never going to hit more than 220. And Mike he's a big, tall, 6'3", big, long legs, and used to take a big approach, and he would get beat. So he actually changed and got to a wider stance and took the stride out of his swing, and then he got to use his upper body more and use his little shit. Well, he's got so much movement. I just don't understand why.
It's interesting you
some
say
ball
that.
is
We'll get into that in a second.
We will, yeah. But a 2-strike approach for me was a huge help. I hit of all minor league home runs, but I think of the 104 minor league home runs I hit, probably 20% of them were with 2 strikes. So about 20 of them.
Interesting.
Because I just saw the ball longer and you shorten your stroke. So for me, it was to see the ball longer to fight, right, to stay alive. I wasn't a number 4 hitter, so striking out wasn't an option for me because I wasn't going to feast or famine. Wasn't my job, wasn't my makeup. My job was to get on base. My job was to move runners over. And with 2 strikes, that doesn't mean your at-bat's over. You just need to make adjustments. And so a little bit wider stance, not get my hands up as high and as far back, bring them in just a little bit with a little mini load, and as little movement as possible in pre-setup, and then just fight nasty pitches off, and it works. It works well.
So the pitch data, or the StatCast and the swing data, is out, and MLB dropped that a couple of weeks ago or last week. And they're updating it as the days go on. And at MLB.com, they did a look at, this 2-strike approach. Let's see if it's backed up by some of the swing data that's there. So Major League Baseball, as average, this is just on average of every hitter in Major League Baseball, average, with less than 2 strikes, Major League Baseball hitters average 72 miles per hour bat speed. And they average a fast swing rate of over 25%. With 2 strikes, the bat speed goes from 72 miles an hour down to 70.4. The fast swing rate goes from 25.6 to 16.6. It drops essentially 10% on the fast swing rate. It drops 2 miles an hour. And to show sort of this more exaggerated, when there's a 3-0 count to an 0-2 count, the difference is 6 miles an hour on average in the swing speed, 3-0 versus 0-2. So when we talk about an 0-2 approach, there's literal data now to back it up of what you're talking about, of like, well, you take a shorter stride, it's a quicker swing, maybe it's not as trying to kill the ball 3-0 when you're coming out of your shoes.
It's hard to swing faster when you're puckered.
That as well. But I loved reading that because it's like there's actual, data to back it up that you know there's a legit in Major League Baseball 2-strike approach, and it's more of a I've got to make contact here. So I'm not even really, it's not necessarily that I'm looking to drive the baseball. I'd like to, if I barrel it up, I'll get enough of it, but
sure.
I gotta get the bat out there, get it on plane, get it through the zone, and make contact, and not necessarily I'm just gonna rip this pitch on 3-0 like they do.
Yeah, unless you're Javi Baez. Unless you're Javi
Baez. That's some people are going to
or Giancarlo Stanton, who has a fast swing rate of 98%.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the count is, he's swinging hard.
And I think that their careers probably are not in jeopardy of getting sent down or released. I think they're going to be okay. But for those like us, I mean, again, you spread out or you shorten things up and you keep things simple. Again, that little millisecond you get to see the ball longer seems like an eternity. And so it's important if you're going to go up there and fight, and like I'm not going down without a fight. Some guys are going to beat you no matter what on some days, but you want the pitcher to know, hey, I'm coming to play. Let's battle. Let's get after it. And the two-strike approach can really help you if you're humble enough to do it.
So here's the interesting part of you saying, MJ Melendez. So in this particular study, there's one Royals player that comes up and is mentioned. So they looked at hitters who dropped their fast swing rate by at least 25 percentage points of all qualified hitters. MJ Melendez has the largest drop in fast swing rate between two strikes and not two strikes. MJ Melendez drops his fast swing rate by 32%. When he does not have two strikes, his fast swing rate is 41%. With two strikes, it's down to only 8%.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because he's clearly taking a two-strike approach. He's not just out there swinging out of his shoes, right? He's trying to make more contact. Mm-hmm. It's just not working.
Right.
Maybe he should try to swing fast, swing hard every time. I don't know. It's not working for him.
I think that difference, though, Jason, that you're seeing is that is such a drastic difference that it seems like he's in his head. Like, here we go again.
Or is he trying to guide it?
Or is he more defensive than anything?
Yeah,
now he's just more like worried, defensive, and okay, I'm going to slow down my fast swing, and now I'm behind the baseball, and 95 just got me, and it's a swing and a miss because I was late on that, because I'm not swinging as fast or as many miles per hour because I've now got two strikes.
If you're defensive with two strikes, you're increasing your chances of striking out, and you're in your head. Mm-hmm. So cutting down your swing doesn't mean it's a defensive swing. Those are two different things. Defensive is you're not super confident and you're just out there trying to stay alive. I can hit with two strikes. Because the pitcher's now got me, or I missed my pitch or whatever with two strikes. Now I don't get the enjoyment of taking my full hack. I mean, it's just the way it is, and you have to be smart enough to do that. With MJ Melendez, it's not just about the two-strike approach. It's just his movement is all over the place, and he's not giving himself an opportunity. I mean, again, he's good enough to square one up that's right down the middle, and he's got the power to do that. But right now, there's just so much movement. Watch him. I said this, I think, a couple weeks ago. Just watch when he takes a pitch. He ducks way down. His legs are moving. His head's all over the place. I mean, again, if you look at that digital clock in front of you right there, Jason, and you just sit there and look at the numbers but shake your head, they bounce all over the place.
Yeah.
And then when you do it in the dark, the numbers are like all over the place, and that's what he's doing. You try to see a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with movement, and your head's moving, it looks like it's 120. You just don't have the time to be able to square it up, and so I think there's a little more happening with him.
It's weird because when you slow the swing down, he doesn't do it, but every time he swings, he looks like he's stepping in the bucket.
Yeah.
Like when it's just weird how that, I don't know if it's because he opens his hips earlier.
That's his stance.
Yeah, it's just weird how just like he swings and it just always feels like he's falling off to the first base side, to the dugout, like get a little kid that's always stepping away from the plate and worried about getting hit. If you slow the swing down, he's stepping towards the pitcher, but it just feels like he's just totally towards the right side and just completely opened up and falling away from the plate.
Well, and kind of going.
And I'm not going to help him with the swing because I, have no clue. They've got guys who can help with their swing. It's just
we're not going to pretend like we know better. But
I'm just saying that's what it
looks like.
That's what it looks like to me all the time. Like, but it's not. It's just weird.
And it's interesting because you look at his hard hit rate or his average exit velocity. The past 3 years, really good, 75th percentile or higher. I mean, last year like 91st. Like that is a good baseline. But he doesn't make a lot of contact. You look at his whiff percentage, 24th percentile. His chase rate's actually not horrible. He strikes out 20% percentile worse in the entire major league. He doesn't take
I'd rather his whiff percentage and his chase percentage be the same, because if he's not chasing much but his whiff percentage is there, that means he's missing strikes.
Yeah.
And
so but my point is, I wonder if that does mean he's moving so much. Yeah, when he hits the ball, oh great. He's putting his whole body behind it, putting that ass behind it. But when he's actually swinging the majority of the time, he's missing.
Remember, the sweet spot on the bat is this big, and for those that are listening, it's a little bit bigger than a silver dollar. If you were to hold a bat up like this and hold it loose, and take another bat and just sit there and tap it from the handle all the way down. It'll vibrate in your hand until you hit the sweet spot, and then it'll feel like you're not even making contact. It's this weird thing, but the sweet spot is tiny. So when you're moving your head, you might square it up, but because now if you're late or you're moving forward, if you're moving forward, the ball's getting there faster. You're creating less distance. And so the ball gets on you a little bit. So you might normally square it up, but instead now you've got it a little bit more toward the end of the bat, and to catch up, you roll over. Now, Melendez is real wristy. And when he's real wristy, he's hitting ground balls to second base or the first base side more. If he's lazing fly balls out there, he's not rolling over, but he's shifting too far and not squaring it up, and maybe he gets the handle or whatever it may be. You're not going to be consistent when you have movement. You're fighting against yourself, and you have to be able to be still. Now, look, he is a good hitter inside all this slump. He's strong. Obviously, that shows you by the exit velocity, how hard he hits balls. And we see when he hits a home run or a line drive and hits it well, he crushes baseballs. So I'm really confused as to why either he's not doing it or the Royals hitting people. There's like 70 of them. If they haven't figured it out or haven't told him, he's got to work on not having much movement, because he is a wasted talent. And how many chances are you going to get? Yeah. And if he keeps doing this with the Royals, other teams are watching. And if it gets to a point where the Royals release him or he goes to the minor leagues, now you're thinking, well, maybe I can sign with somebody else. Well, no, because they've caught your act. And so he's got to work on it. It's maybe a little risky here or there, but we've seen when he's good, he can still get away with that. If he would just back off on the movement, I really believe this guy could be a superstar.
We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap things up this hour with Les Norman. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We're talking with Les Norman, breaking the norm. More Zone next.
All right, wrapping things up here with Les Norman. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man.
What you got going on this week?
Just tell Mick, I'm just going to stay through 2 o'clock. Just tell Mick to just go home.
So he's now leaving. He just waved by.
See you, Mick.
He just said
buddy.
bye-bye.
That was the quickest I've
Yeah,
ever
that's what he
seen
was
Mick
waiting
move.
for.
I have never seen him move that fast.
Look at him down the hallway. He's gone.
He was actually just waiting for that. He's like, oh, okay, cool. All right, see you later.
Who's faster, him or Bobby Witt Jr.? Sprint speed, very close.
Right there.
Close
I think,
sprint
Mick.
speed.
That's Ellie De La Cruz, Bobby Witt speed right there. That was phenomenal. It was fantastic.
The replay of Sean Green's going to come Saturday.
Yes.
And then next week, my doctor, we're going to talk through the process of surgery coming up.
Very cool, man. That's certainly must listen there. And also coming up on Monday, the best of for the zone will be off. Our conversation with Les when we talked about, you announcing that thing. So that'll be coming up on Monday. You're the man, brother.
free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
Is this a Mick Schaefer request?
I picked it.
Yeah.
You sings this, or you just do 80s music?
That's Pearl Jam.
It is.
That's Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, it's both. Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's both.
Do you know what album this is off of, or the name of the song?
Is it off of? Oh, what's the one with the rear view mirror?
It's off of Versus.
Versus.
Yeah.
Is Versus with the rearview
I
mirror?
believe so. Was on that rearview mirror's on Versus.
Nice job.
Glorified G.
Oh,
is
nice.
The name
Love
of the
that.
song.
So you basically, you're
Yes.
I'm a glorified G.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've always called him the OG. Mick Schaefer, the OG, hanging out with us.
I
here
spent
for
the last hour back there with Dylan, just hand-picking that one song.
just going through your entire catalog of songs.
We
just
did,
to,
yes.
Which one? This is so
We
important.
listened
Which
to
one?
dozens of them, and we settled on that one.
We listened to one of them, and that was the one we
No, he
decided
says
to
he
go.
has 58 Pearl Jam songs back there that he can play.
A lot. That's
Really?
a lot of Pearl Jam.
We're not gonna get sued, right?
No.
Good.
I don't think
That's
so.
always good.
I mean, I doubt I will get sued. Hopefully not. I mean, I don't have the money to
No.
pay them. And so
No.
I'm like Rocky at the end
But
of
but we can't
Rocky V. Sue me
play.
for what?
We can't play real music on TV. It's
Yeah.
got to be royalty-free stuff. I don't know what the rules are here.
We can play real music on the radio. We just can't do it over like the stream or the Twitch or something like that. So he has to take
And we
that
also
out.
can't record it and re-podcast it because then
Yeah.
So the podcast people have no idea what we're talking about right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
no, they can hear us.
So they can't. Yeah, my point is they're like, oh,
They don't know what we're talking
so every
about.
time I come back with a real song and I make
Yeah.
a joke about it, and
That's
they're
right.
like, what
Yeah.
song? I don't get it.
Like with with Matt Derrick, and we came back with Air Supply, and you guys were singing, and I said, well, the door's open, so we got plenty of air supply in the studio right now.
Oh,
They
yeah,
didn't-
those people.
Whoever's whoever's listening to the podcast for the Matt Derrick Hour was like, I'm guessing they were listening to Air Supply.
Yeah.
But I don't know for a fact, or he was just saying there's some circulation going on in the studio.
When I went to Andy Reid's high school out in L.A., we did a bunch of stories, and he basically went to Fame. It was Fame High School, okay? Right, and so it's been in so many TV shows and movies, and so I came back, and two of the ones I wanted to highlight was in Grease, the final scene of Grease, and I was like, I've got to show that scene, and then Hot for Teacher video. The video was made there in the library.
Hell yeah.
Yes, and so those two, and so we had to talk to our lawyers who talked to like the Scripps lawyers, and they got basically, okay, it has to be, you can use it, but it has to be less than 5 seconds, right? And it has to be courtesy this way, and so there was a lot of legal hoops to jump through, but we jumped through them and got it on the air.
The beginning of this case, folks.
Lawyers.
Is that the lawyers you were speaking to?
Same one. It's crazy. I'm like, oh, there's that guy.
The government has been hot for this teacher the entire time, and we viewed them more as a twisted sister.
Alex Van Halen on back there, the drums just sound like a motorcycle back there.
That's right. And we're tired of this motley crew that is just trying to come after. They aren't hearing what we're saying as sort of a Def Leppard. I would like him to.
My client does not deserve to be on Skid Row. Am I playing the game right? Is that good? Okay.
He has grown from a boy to a man, okay? And we're trying to be more in sync with what he's supposed to do. All right?
How long can you go with this?
When he's out, he will be back.
Street.
Damn it. That's what I was going with. You got to put the pause in there.
No
back.
No diggity.
Street boy. He'll be there.
And wham! Back in jail.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's
He
back.
needs his freedom.
Back
It's a
in
song.
jail again. Doom, 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 doom. When I was in college, the Hot for Teacher, we were supposed to come
Which
up with
teacher?
Well, it was I think it was Matt Rao was the
Wow.
class that we had.
That was the one you were hot for?
We were supposed to we had to come up with a commercial, and we had to write the commercial, the concept, all of that stuff for marketing. And this was for like, eventually it'd be like wireless headphones, right? Not just the ones that you had the earbuds, but then you got the wire that goes down, right? Like if they were going to be like,
created AirPods is what you're saying.
not at all. This was sort of a concept. It was a concept thing. It was
You're the idea guy.
yeah, no, not at all. It was given to us.
Okay.
And so mine was, this teacher is asking questions, and they're yes/no answers, and then the student is in the class, and she's like, "Yes, Johnny, that's right,"
and he's just bobbing his head. And then it slowly goes, underneath the camera, goes underneath the table, goes to his feet, goes up and listens to what he's, and then goes to his earbuds, and it's "I'm hot for teacher." That was my commercial. Got an F on it, so
I did 6 different ones about Under Armour, and I think I just barely passed every single one. I kept repurposing the Under Armour.
I had one for Capri Sun that it was the concept was how multi-use it was, that you can use it for parties, use it for dinner, use it out at the pool, use it for a lot of different things. And then somebody ends up getting injured, and at the end the ambulance walking out, and the drip bag is the Capri Sun.
Oh, I thought it was a tracheotomy.
No,
with the straw.
No, the drip bag is the Capri Sun that's slowly dripping into the veins.
Good.
Yeah, you got an F on that one too.
I did a commercial in college for Lawrence Taekwondo with no permission from them whatsoever. We just picked them. I think we did the deal. You just open up the phone book.
Yeah.
There was a thing back in the phone books, and like Lawrence Taekwondo. And so I had a couple of buddies, and the commercial was a smaller dude and a bigger dude. And he's on college campus, and he's walking. He's got a lunchbox, of course, and the bigger dude comes and just beats the crap out of him. He takes his lunch money, takes it, and then happens again twice in a row, and like the voiceover is like, tired of getting beat up and picked on. Lawrence Taekwondo, this and this, and then he gets back the same scene again. The third time, the kid walks up, he's all confident and everything, and then boom, gets his ass kicked a third time, and the bully turns to the cameras, goes, "I've been going to Lawrence Taekwondo too." Which I'm sure that's not what they're teaching at Lawrence Taekwondo. That's not the tenets of Taekwondo. It's to beat the crap out of people, especially when they're smaller than you. But that's the message we sent, I think.
It's more self-defense.
That's strong.
A little twist there at the end, right?
You got an A on that one, though, right?
Fortunately, that kid
I got A's and everything, buddy.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That kid needs to go more than the
That's
other
right.
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the lesson.
And then you have Krav Maga come in, and then that's what you teach the young guy, the smaller guy.
Bully's getting ready to hit him, and he immediately just starts standing on the floor. I'm painting the fence. What is going on here? Miyagi's full of crap, man. This guy sucks.
The final shot was him I've been going to Lawrence Taekwondo too, and he picks up the sandwich he just stole and takes a big bite out of it.
You got an A on that one?
Oh, I'm sure.
Good for you.
That was great.
Good for you. Wish I had that teacher.
Strong.
Yeah. You're a big game show guy, Sterling, right?
Big GSN guy, yeah.
Big GSN guy. Make you a big game show guy?
No.
You like Wheel of Fortune at all?
Love Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
No, I saw this, I think, and I love Jeopardy. Because those are always playing. We always have all 4 networks on during the day. And Jeopardy used to be on our air. It's over on, I think, Channel 9 now.
Right.
And same with Wheel of Fortune. It's on one of them. Might be on ours. I'm not sure.
So they have the, they have the puzzles.
It's great.
They have the puzzles at times when they're running out of time. So they have a quick one.
Yeah.
And the letters just start popping up. And at any time, you can just, buzz in and answer it. And to give you the picture here, there are no letters that are shown in the first word. But there are 4 letters, then 2 letters, then 3 letters, then 4 letters.
The I was showing, I think, in the second word. The 2 letters.
T was
I
showing.
think it was an H in the middle, which is
H in the middle.
Yeah.
A B, space T.
Yes.
And an exclamation point after that. And this is what took place on Wheel of Fortune.
Tavares, right in the butt.
What?
No.
No.
Blake.
This is the best.
Yeah, that's it.
And it is.
That's what I don't know. I don't know, Blake. I'm not saying, Blake. I'm not judging. I don't know. Blake apparently thinks it is.
How are you spelling right, though? That's my biggest issue with
4
that.
letters.
Yeah.
4 letters.
R-I-T-E. You're under the gun, right? The clock's ticking down. You're gonna make some mistakes there, so I don't blame him. He went for it. Well done, right in the butt.
You might as well go for it.
Although,
Tavares, right in the butt.
Right in the butt.
What?
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 That was another contestant, by the way.
They close up on her. You can see it in camera. She doesn't even move when she says that. Like, it's just
how sanctimonious can you be? Just laugh at it. What? I can't believe you.
What? And then Blake was like, I got this.
Yeah.
This is the best.
I know. That's what actually made me think this is the best.
This is the best.
Oh my God, that's the best. This is the best. I got it.
No.
No.
By the way, I love that after he guessed it, you can see him just put his clicker down. Not even going to guess anymore. No, you can throw as many letters up there, but I'm not even going to. I'm going to walk away here, and I'm going to hope nobody saw this.
There's some class. That game sets you up for some classic guesses over time. There's a couple every year.
They know what they're doing when they put the letters up in certain spots. Yeah.
Did they think that was going to be?
No,
it was
that
four
was
letters. The
not
first
the one.
word was 4 letters. It's not Rite Aid.
Tavares, right in the butt.
You'll never get old here. Right in the butt.
Right in the butt.
No, left in the butt would make more sense because it's
Right
4
in the
letters. I left it in the butt.
What phrase is that?
It's actually "Boogie in Your Butt" by Eddie Murphy. Anyone know that song?
I do. Yeah.
Remember that one? That was a good one.
No.
Do you know anything besides 80s music?
Yeah.
That's even Eddie Murphy. That's a pull.
No, it's not the what.
Pull in the butt.
It's not the what.
Yeah.
What
What
in your butt. What? It's not that one. We don't need to play that one. It's perfectly fine.
What?
I don't know. What did he? Was there a balance of confidence and questioning himself there? Because it almost.
Can you guess as many times as possible in that round?
Yeah, I mean every letter that comes up, take a shot. Bing.
Each
Okay.
one, you're not done after one guess.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Once there's another guess, you can or another letter, right? You can just keep guessing. Is he confident here? Is he questioning himself?
Tavares, right in the butt.
He's shooting a shot.
Right in the butt.
Right in the
Taking
butt.
a shot.
That's where he's shooting it.
Right in the butt. This is a phrase that I think it's a very common phrase. It's something that's in my general vernacular. Right in the butt.
And we also spell it with 4 letters. R-I-T-E.
I think he saw the B, blank blank
Space,
T, and he's like, okay, that's gonna be butt, and I've got to fill in the blanks.
In the butt.
Yeah.
And you have in the.
In the. You know
it's
Yes.
in the. So all you're thinking is in the butt.
But
That's
it was
all
is
your-
the.
It ended up being is the, but all you had was the I.
It said what is the butt?
What is the butt?
best.
What is the butt?
What is
Right
the
in
butt?
the butt.
No, that's no.
What?
He said no twice. No. No.
I'm surprised Sajak, he's pretty witty. He didn't come back with more.
No. I think he was so caught off guard. No. No.
What was Vanna's face? Do we know what Vanna?
I don't know.
Gorgeous.
Oh, disappointment.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But she smiled through it.
You know what? I bet she laughed because she's done that for so long that every show must feel the same and monotonous to her, that when you get something right in the butt, that's going to make you laugh a little bit. You're going to, give a chuckle or two. Give a little ha-ha.
Short.
Tavares, right in the butt.
Can't believe that, man. It's 4 letters. What do you want Wheel of Fortune for?
No flubs.
No. Seth Lugo on the mound tonight, Mick.
Let's go.
He is...
Who's he facing? Doesn't matter.
He's facing a fellow by the name of Sean Armstrong. I'm learning there's a player named Sean Armstrong. He's 1-1 with a 4 ERA for the Rays.
Probably describes his arm.
Strong. It's Sean. His arm.
Sean.
What's his arm like?
Sean.
It's,
Wait,
pretty-
is he an SEAN guy or an SHAWN?
Got a W in there because he
Yeah,
wins.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's a win. W for win. You can't spell win without Sean.
Moses didn't part the Red Shaw.
No.
Well, just that sound, SEA for Sean.
Sean. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a
seen.
little weird. Well, it depends on how you're reading it. The English language is hard, man.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. I looked
My
it up
brother's
this morning.
joke, by the way. I stole it from him.
The scene.
He was down in Springfield last night, opening up for Jay Chandrasekhar.
Nice.
The main guy in Super Troopers is what he's known for.
That's
the best.
awesome,
And Beer
man.
Fest, which was a great movie as well.
Did
Oh, it's
you
good.
did you go up to him and say Ramrod? Did you, Mick?
No, I was going to be the last guy that did that. But a lot of his act was around
Was
Super
it?
Troopers. Well, it told a lot of stories, and they had to do with Super Troopers.
Did people say Ramrod to him?
I'm
when he
sure
went
they did.
against-
Did
Hey,
you get
Team
a
Ramrod. Team
yeah.
Ramrod.
large farva?
It was going to be Ramfer with
get a-
Schaefer and
Get a
Ramathorn.
large farva. I don't want a large farva.
I want a liter of cola.
Damn liter of cola. So I looked it up this morning, and this was inspired by Mike McFarland because he was talking about Seth Lugo and his start and 10 starts, 1.79 ERA, and he's like, I mean, that's like Brett Saberhagen type, you know? So I'm like, oh, well, what is it like? So all the players in Royals history whose first 10 starts of the season resulted in an ERA of 1.79 or better. So the list is Seth Lugo this year, Zach Greinke in 2009, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Zach Greinke in 2009. And now his ERA was 0.84, and he had 30 more strikeouts.
That was a Cy Young season?
That was Cy Young season for Zach Greinke. But at that time, he had 30 more strikeouts than Seth Lugo, who's been on a strikeout tear.
And what was his record that year?
Greinke?
Yeah. Like 16-8, I think, or 16.
Yeah, he actually had a decent record that year. But because, I mean, he went out there and didn't give up a run. It's like you give him 2 runs, you're going to win the game.
Even the Royals might win a couple that year.
Remember when beers were the price of whatever his ERA was? Which I was too young, so I didn't get to.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they had certain bars where it'd be like a 50-cent beer or 64-cent beer.
I remember the Krispy Kreme. Oh. That was great. 12 hits.
He did go 16-8 that year.
Yep.
So.
16-8, yeah.
Yep.
So Cy Young, but 0.84 for Zach Greinke. The next closest is 1.79 for Seth Lugo, and he's on the mound tonight. And this is now the second time through the rotation in this 6-game winning streak. Reagans has gone twice. Mm-hmm. It's now Seth Lugo the second time. And through this part in the rotation, the 6 starts, 2 by Reagans, and then 1 by Lugo, Singer, Waka, and Marsh.
All quality?
Right. 1.93 ERA. Only 1 was not quality.
It was 5 and
2/3
Yeah,
Lugo.
that's why.
5 and 2/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs. It was 1 out away from being 6 straight quality starts. But a 1.93 ERA and a .9 WHIP.
And I think they're batting above 500 when it comes to quality starts. I think it is. They have 26 quality starts in 51 games, right? Is it 51 games? 32
Mm-hmm.
26 quality starts in 51 games.
5 of the last 6 are quality starts, and I'm going to go ahead and...
That's unheard of, man. At least around these parts.
I'll knock on wood, but, I mean, Seth Lugo just seems like even though he's the one in the stretch that did not have the quality start, he seems like he's a walking quality start. He also had 10 Ks and 1 walk.
I call it quality, right? It's subjective. It's a subjective term. I call it quality.
5 and 2/3. He gave up 7 total base runners, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts in 5 and 2/3. That's quality to me. I think that's a quality.
He probably
start.
averaged 8 seconds between pitches too. I love that part about Seth Lugo.
What's funny is he gets up there and he starts it pretty quickly, but his actual motion takes like 9 seconds.
Yeah.
With the
but there's action.
He's got his pitch calm, right?
Yeah.
Punches it in.
Yes, touching his hip, right? Yep, this is what I'm going to go with.
The 1940s warm-up, little wind-up he has.
Yeah. It's weird that his pitch comm is a TI-80. It's like because he's got 50 different pitches.
Right.
Great. Okay, let's go with that one. All right,
that is amazing. All the pitches he throws, and he knows exactly right away, immediately, what he wants to throw.
The next pitch, he's like, I'm calling my own game, man.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, he will give it up on a batter to, like, he'll be listening in, and you'll see, like, Salvi or Fermin, call a pitch, and you'll see Lugo. So I don't know what the difference is. Like, maybe if Lugo's feeling it, and it's like, no, I'm going to call my own, or if it's like, you know what? I'm stuck here. Salvi,
this guy got me last time.
What are you thinking, Salvi? I'm gonna trust you. What are you thinking? Okay, great. No, that sounds good. Let's go with that one.
It's either you go or Lugo. Calling the pitchers.
Yes.
You go. Says Lugo.
No, he says Lugo. Lugo. No, you go.
No, you go.
No, Lugo. You go. So they got the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, and they got a few games left before it gets into June 4th when they finally face off against the Guardians.
Yeah.
Like, it's just been waiting here to play the Guardians. Right now would be a phenomenal time to see him play the Guardians, the way that both these teams are playing.
Was Cleveland off yesterday?
They were both off, so it's still game and a half. Still 6-game winning streaks. Cleveland, in their last 10 games, is 9-1. The Royals in the last 10 are 8-2.
Well, it's going to be like a benchmark, too, because in 3-game series with Tampa, it'll be 54 games, right? 54. We'll be at the 1/3 pole, right, of the season.
That's right. We'll do an update on the ZOUs when we do that.
Yeah, no, it'd be a good time, too, and that's, I mean, it hasn't been a small sample size for a while, but that you do this through a third of the season, then, start having expectations.
And they have an 88% playoff probability, according to a Baseball Reference. They are leading the wild card.
By 5 games?
They are 7 games ahead of the Rays in the wild card.
what's fun too is they're getting some national love now.
Yeah.
Like obviously Bobby Witt Jr., but they're talking, and you've seen these national analysts who are basically saying what the Royals are doing is legitimate and there's nothing fluky about it. They go, the only thing fluky is the fact that no one expected it going into this season. Just because you didn't expect it doesn't mean what they've done so far is a fluke. All the underlying numbers suggest that they are 32-19.
The part of it, even just a couple weeks ago, we were like, all right, this starting pitching is for real. They're going to have to win games 2-0 and 3-1 though, because they're not. I mean, just the offense. They now lead the American League in runs scored.
They've scored 34 in the last 4 games. Scored 8, 8, 10, 8.
I feel like every score was 8-3 in
it
the
really
winning
felt
streak,
like that,
basically,
right?
yes.
I mean, if they're getting productive,
and they were all like 7-0 to begin with, and
yeah,
I'm still watching that bullpen that's given up some runs. That's the last piece I think of the puzzle for me. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're still winning, but that bullpen's giving up runs and turning 8-0 games into 8-3 games.
You're getting right now the combination of Bobby Witt being a superstar the way he's swinging the bat right now.
Salvi's figured out baseball.
Still doing what he's doing. In the last month, Michael Garcia has raised his OPS by 100 points.
He should aim for right field every time.
Yeah. I mean,
I just love it. I mean,
100 points in OPS.
Shoot it to right field
in the last month.
It's like that closed stance.
Yeah.
Wait on it.
Go the other way.
Stay inside the ball. Shoot it to right field. Get on base. Steal a base. Go score.
And the last few games, you're seeing the bottom part of the lineup produce a little bit. You know, get a couple of hits, get a couple of runs scored, get on base a few times. Fermin has certainly been a big part of that. Velasquez is hitting the ball harder and better now.
Because he hurt us in our. I've said, Mick, I always say this: negative reinforcement works.
That's what I do with my kids all the time.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, shame them.
Yeah,
right. Shame them until they finally become good kids. Yep. That's what it says. Every book I've read about parenting says the same thing. Yeah. It says all of that. Yeah. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll see who's lighting it up coming up next.
Try their new AI Bud Tender to help you shop their huge menu online. Visit greenlightdispensary.com for more info.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, Dylan Michaels. We got the cuts coming your way before the show is over today. Let's go around and see who is lighting it up around the sports world. I don't know, maybe the entertainment world, maybe the music world. I'm not sure. Maybe Sterling can weigh in on that. Anybody want to lead us off? Go first with who's lighting up. Sterling, you grab the baton. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'll go with Harry Higgs. Obviously, we were there on Friday for the Corn Ferry Tour, that event right there. Advent Health Championship at Blue Hills Country Club. Harry Higgs back in town. He was on the tour. Now he's trying to get his tour card back. This was his first win since 2019, moving to 7th on the Corn Ferry Tour list, which is great for him because he was top 25, ended up getting their tour card, so he's close to getting it back. But he's 63 yards out, has to hole out on hole 18 to force a playoff. Brutal lie. He even talked about how bad the lie was, and quite frankly, it almost helped him out, right, getting the extra spin on it. Cup either way.
Absolutely helped him out, especially where it landed on the green.
I mean, it was insane. Trickles in, forces the playoff, and then wins. It was just so cool, chance of Harry raining down on him. Happy for him. Also went to my high school, Blue Valley North, so shout out Mustangs.
There you go. How about that, huh?
But really cool, man. I was really cool for Harry Higgs. So he is the guy who's lighting it up this week.
Mick, me, whatever.
Jaylen Brown, 40 points last night, right? That was big. And the Celtics are probably going to sweep. I don't know why I said 5 games.
Yeah, because I didn't know Tyrese Halliburton was going to forget how to dribble for
they got injuries now, right?
What you mean?
Yeah, not great.
What you mean, man? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What's funny is I was going to go Jaylen Brown for who's lighting up because he hit the game-tying 3, and then he backs it up by dropping a 40 spot last night. But you know what? They're in action right now, so I'll go Lauren Krings. With Mizzou softball. They are leading 1-0 over the Hokies right now in the first game of the Super. See, man, why would you do that?
I have confidence.
That's bordering on cockiness.
How many times have I told you, Jason? Without confidence, all I have is my good looks.
You actually say that once a day, so roughly 728 times. I think. Quick little math.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what the definition of that word is. Confidence or good looks.
Mine's going to be Lauren Krings. She was lighting it up last weekend. She pitched 24 innings in the regionals against multiple teams. Ended up with 25 strikeouts and back-to-back in a doubleheader for Mizzou to advance to the Super Regionals, taking on Duke there in Columbia. So Lauren Krings definitely lighting it up for Mizzou and going today. So we'll see if Mizzou can jump out to a 1-0 lead in that regional best of 3.
So my lighting it up is going to be Kyrie. I will stay in the basketball world.
Why? Is he the clutchest person you've ever seen?
Yeah, took Ant-Man's challenge and had 30 points, 5 and 4, but he was a +5 on the plus-minus and also shot 50%. So
told you. Clutch.
Don't want to call him out.
No. A big one tonight as the Minnesota Timberwolves need to even the series, down 1-0. Dallas played a phenomenal fourth quarter, clutch late, mainly Kyrie Irving. Sterling, I disagree with you. I think Kyrie Irving is pretty clutch. I disagree with you saying that he can't come through.
I've told you time and time again, he has given LeBron James a ring.
He makes me want to be a flat earther.
He was on the team when LeBron won a ring. That is correct. Yes.
When he gets the ball around the rim, you're just like, that's going in. I don't know the physics around it because he doesn't understand the physics.
He's one of the best finishers I've ever seen.
You know why?
That is legit.
He doesn't understand physics, so physics don't apply to him when he tries to finish. That's what it is.
It's a great point. He thinks the earth is flat, so he views things differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's got different angles. He's like Neo. He can see everything in slow motion. The angles are viewed differently with him. It's what makes him
not buying that gravity BS either.
Yeah, like gravity. Like, why are you believing in gravity? Who's to say that there actually is gravity? You know, and why do we call it gravity? You know, what if we called it carrots? We'd be talking about, like, well, it's the carrots that keep you close to the ground. You know, what if gravity was actually carrots? And it's like, oh, I made the salad with some gravity.
Did you hit up Greenlight Dispensary before this, or like?
Why?
You're lighting it up right now.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Oh, I appreciate that.
My other guy lighting up is Jason, literally right now.
Yeah. Throwing strikes, little BBs here. There we go. Knocking down some jumpers, coming in clutch late in the game / the show. I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate the love. I loved before the game last night on ESPN. They were going around the table and discussing a topic that the question was: Pacers down 1-0. Which team needs the win tonight more?
Come on,
Boston or Indiana?
Are you serious?
Oh, I promise you. I looked up. I'm like, I'm gonna guess the team's down 0-1.
I think I'm gonna always say the team that's down. I don't know if there's ever a situation where I wouldn't
I
say
think
that
they
one.
can rest Halliburton tonight and give him a night off, and then come back game 4.
Hell,
But now that it's
now that we know he got injured, he probably should. They lost and he got injured.
But hold on, now that it's a 2-0 lead, that's a good which team needs to win game 3 more?
I would say probably the Sixers.
Right. Yeah.
Sixers need something.
They need to win this more than either of those two teams.
It's like the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What's the score? 0-0 or it's tied? Who's winning?
Who's winning?
The Bears. It was a Cubs game, Sterling. I know you haven't seen the movie.
I have seen.
Good for you.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off
Thank
many
you.
a time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? I doubted you the way that I just assumed I would always doubt Josh. And I apologize for that. You're sitting in the seat, but it doesn't make you the same person.
Yeah, I don't.
So I apologize.
When have I ever talked Pokemon on this show?
Right there. So now you're blending in. I can't even see the difference between you. Neither of you has seen Blue Chips. Maybe get on that or read the book. I don't care.
I've had
there's the Blue Chips book.
Cookies.
No, I mean read the.
I've had the cookies and ice cream, so I feel like
read
I'm on the same
read the
page.
screenplay. I don't care what you do. I know that the screenplay was better. You watched the movie. I read the book. It was better.
Yeah, you think
Took
if
me
people-
8 days to do what you did in 2 hours.
See, this is
so
because
much better.
Jason can't read, okay? And this is all his projecting on me.
Should be same sets rules, no matter what age. It's
You
not
think if they,
my fault he
read the
can't
scripts-
read.
They read the scripts instead of watch the movies, that they would change their mind maybe just because then they could flex about reading the scripts like they flex about reading books. Is that the?
I don't flex about it. I just enjoy it.
He is a reader, though. I will give Sterling that. He is a reader. I don't know what I'm giving him, but I'll give him that he is a reader. He likes to read. He gets his glass of bourbon.
Yes,
he
my
gets
nightly routine.
he gets his lounge chair.
Monte Cristo cigar.
Yep.
San Cristobal, but yeah,
there you
close,
go.
yeah.
Do you have the cigar in the house?
No.
So it's not a smoker's
Look
room.
how random and refined you are. Man, I love it.
Not at all. This is
very.
You guys
Yeah.
are.
We're learning. I learned more about you.
Yeah.
You know, what book are you going through right now? What's the book you are currently making your way through at night?
It's by S.A. Cosby. All the Sinners Bleed. That's what it's called. He wrote Blacktop Wasteland as well.
So
that was a pretty popular one.
Is this like about
You wrote Pudding Pops and about that?
No, Cosby, not Crosby. It's.
So is this about like
Cosby Show? That was Cosby.
It was.
This is Bill Cosby, not Bill Crosby.
Bill Crosby.
You're
yeah,
thinking
you're
of
right.
Bing Crosby, but that's wrong. So this book is about like Joel Embiid and Jokic, Gobert. That's what the book's about. All the Sinners Bleed.
Sinners, yeah, nails. Yeah.
It is quite a topic, but yes, that is not it.
Okay, it's not
But
Bill
yes,
Cosby.
no,
or
it
Bing
looks
Crosby.
like a good book.
What's it about?
Embiid,
Jokic,
Sterling, what is it about?
Gobert, Creed Humphrey.
Are you like LeBron? He was on the first page of every book.
I will say I am halfway. I'm halfway through War and Peace. I am halfway through War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy.
So you just got done with the war, and then peace is the last.
Well, the war is at least interesting. The
I'm
Peace
just reading
is
the
so
biography
boring.
about a guy named Warren.
I'm right in the
Peace.
middle.
It's been
I'm on
5
and.
years. It's been 5 years. It's the longest book. Each page takes you 10 minutes to get through. It's. Sorry, Leo. You could have saved some
DiCaprio?
wording here, Tolstoy.
Oh. See, here's the thing.
More of a Dostoevsky guy myself.
Here's the thing. You publicly you want to present a certain way. So you read the biography of a guy named Warren Peace, and you're like, I just read War and Peace. So it's pretty good. Not too bad. I got through it in a week. How long has it taken you, Sterling? 5 years. Interesting.
5 years, yeah.
Got through War and Peace in 1 week.
Did you read the prequel, Art of War, or no? Are you doing that? The Art of War by Shinzu?
I have not read that yet. No.
Oh.
It's on the list.
Is it on the
talking
list?
about?
Books, Mick. Reading top to bottom, left to
I'm
right.
trying to move the
That's the
conversation.
only reason I signed up for this sports radio gig, okay?
Yeah, I don't understand
So
why we
avoid
keep
topics
asking
like this.
me. People are asking me this. I'm not the one projecting here.
I read tweets and got really pissed off when they expanded it from
X's?
140 to 280.
Yeah. I read a lot last night and this morning about the settlement by the NCAA that Sterling, you and I talked about the entire first hour about what it means. That was a lot of reading. It took me a week to get through
You know
that.
what the worst part of my day is? I'll jump on Facebook and somebody will say, like, the first half of the paragraph, it's kind of interesting. I'm like, okay, how does this end? And I click read more, and it's just, it's a book after that. And then I'll go, I'll scroll down, I'll type TLDR. I'll move on.
You either say happy for you or I'm sorry
That's
that
the meme.
happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That meme is brilliant, man. I'm sorry that happened, or I'm happy for you. Either way, I'm not reading all that.
I want to ask Mick a question here since this is a sports show.
7.
Would you
or no? That's my answer.
Would
No.
you trade for a guy who's batting 269?
I was in
getting
here.
on base.
O'Hearn.
He was standing.
Let me
standing right
finish
there.
it. I didn't know.
Okay, sorry.
He was standing.
Gosh,
right there.
everyone listening who wasn't listening doesn't know this.
Keep going.
Would you trade for a guy who's? Gosh dang it!
I've loved O'Hearn the entire time. I would have kept him.
Okay. O'Hearn's batting 269, 341, 462, OPS.
What about this guy we're
803,
trading for?
Walks 13, strikeouts 12, 6 home runs. It's Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a nerd about this, but I would trade for good players and not bad. That's what I've always said.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of in the weeds, right?
what do
with
the
the
numbers say?
analytics.
why,
Yeah.
I don't understand how Ryan O'Hearn just goes to the Orioles and becomes an 800 OPS guy.
Because he's seeing great pitches because there's great hitters all around him. That's probably
I'll
why
also
I-
raise my hand and say he moved from a bad regime and a bunch of coaches that didn't know what the hell they were doing to a good regime and coaches that do know what they're doing. At the same time, the Royals changed up all their coaches, and so O'Hearn didn't work with this group of coaches. So maybe he'd be doing the same thing with the Royals right now.
He learned from his mistakes too, right?
Yeah,
Maybe he got better.
How's Drew Tranquil playing so well in the postseason? He was always so good.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's kind of the same
He was so wanted by everybody, Drew Tranquil was, and then he got with some really good coaches, Charvarius Ward wasn't wanted, and then he was. Got with some pretty good coaches, man.
Poor Parker Anger.
Well, he's where he's always wanted to be, by the way. Don't forget.
Charvarius Ward. Well, they gave him the bag, so good for him.
Yep.
It's better over there, as Kelsey said in the
That's
mic'd
right.
up. It's better over there, huh? It's better over there, huh? Yeah, stay over there.
I love that term, the bag. I call like rookie contract sellers. That'd be a bag to me. It's a bag. Sounds like a bag.
Mick, your salary is a bag to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Xavier Worthy.
You go on vacation a line, so I feel like that's a
yeah.
Xavier Worthy's going to get the bag when he signs his.
Well, I just like Chris Jones.
$13.8 million.
Like, that you got to give him that bag, as if $20 million a year isn't a bag. 28, that's a bag.
Got to give him a bigger.
Why do we
bag.
call it a
That's Chris
bag?
Jones.
Like I don't like that. Can we just get a lot of money? Like I feel like it's
Bag of
kind of
cash.
it's kind of lame now. Like a bag. Like it just seems kind of.
Well, why do you
like-
say oh, you better back up the Brinks truck? I mean, like, can't you just say
Nobody knows.
back up the Venmo?
Nobody knows what a Brinks truck is anymore. I think.
Better back up that app.
Yeah. And if we
Back
keep
that app up.
Back that up. All back that up.
If we
Juvenile.
keep saying it over and over again, it will become uncool for sure.
Once you back that app up.
Back that app up.
You bad. I can't say a
You're
lot
a really
of
good
songs.
player. Won't you back that app up? Jaden Rashada is going through his lawsuit in which he was promised from Florida $13.85 million to sign with the Gators. At least that's what he claims. So you were talking about the bag. And Xavier Worthy's contract is going to be worth roughly 4 years, $13.8 million. And the four-star quarterback claims he's suing for $10 million because he claims they had a tortious interference with not paying him his $13.85 million.
Is there anything in writing?
No.
So the
Good luck, buddy.
Wait for this.
So it's not breach of contract, quote, because the deal was deemed to be terminated at any moment for any reason by either side. So it can't be breach of contract because they can just say, well, we just terminated the deal. Why he's fighting for tortious interference is that he claims he had a $9.5 million deal from Miami to sign with them from John Ruiz, the Life Wallet fella that gave Nigel Pack all that money.
Yeah.
He's claiming that he was offered $9.5 million to go to Miami. He turned that down because Florida offered him $13.8, and then Florida didn't come through on that deal, and he would have gotten the 9.5 from Miami, so he's suing for $10 million.
Left your for show money for Mo money, and he has no.
So Miami's not offering anything anymore, huh?
Miami's denying that happened. John Ruiz is saying
shocker.
that is incorrect. I did not offer this man $10 million to go to Miami.
So where's he going now?
He's at Georgia now. He got out of his letter of intent that he signed with last year. He then went to Arizona State for a year.
This young man's a quarterback?
Yeah, 4-star quarterback, and now he's at Georgia. So we were joking about, so he's suing Billy Napier for $10 million. He might be the starting quarterback in the largest outdoor cocktail party against Florida while suing the other coach for $10 million lawsuit. We're blitzing this guy. I don't care what we do.
Oh, yeah.
We are getting this damn quarterback. I will not lose to this man because I'm going to lose in court to him. I'm not losing here on the field.
There's no way he loses in court.
I can't imagine. They claim they have text messages and communication between the two sides.
Is that enough?
I have no idea. I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer.
Because I'll be like, I'll text my kids like, I'll pay you $1 million if you mow the lawn. And am I on the hook for that?
No, I mean it is a legally binding verbal agreement, but I'm not sure. I didn't.
It's fine. They never mow the lawn, so I'm good.
I didn't go to lawyer school, not yet. I'm thinking about it next week, probably. it away, Dylan.
So you guys would be like the exact opposite of Ludwig Oberg. You guys would be nervous and shaking and not just walking around smiling.
And American.
Yeah.
And now I know to basically screw Jason.
Whoa.
No, don't.
Man, you were laughing about that, too.
What about the Wheel of Fortune?
Not sure.
I was told I was supposed to let Todd see him. He told me before the show that the rule was I let him watch.
We got to just renaming these the Sterlings.
Sterlings. Here's the cuts, or the Holmes.
Hey, should we do a little fact or fiction?
Fact.
Well done, guys. You guys are... And then you let Todd watch.
I would do more than that than just you barely put it in. That's going to fall yet again.
I got it.
Good, mark that down.
It's as far as it can twist.
I feel like Jack
you were
did a
born
lot,
for this.
though. I did try to get as much in as I could in 2 minutes.
And so he was stroking off you?
Oh, my
Yes,
God.
everyone.
9 of them, right?
He was stroking off you.
What? Oh, my God, Nick. We heard it the first time.
I didn't know if you had heard me.
You doubled down.
Well, yeah, I didn't think you heard me.
We were talking about golf, and I'm like, yeah, I
didn't
heard you
know
the
that
first
was
time.
like I'm just gonna move on real quickly. And
No, you wanted to
So-
make sure we heard you.
It's
Yeah.
called pops, not
Yeah.
stroking off.
I mean, I heard you. I heard you, yes. And I typically finish, 4 shots back of the leader when my friends and I go, and they're shooting 80, 85, and I'll be at like 90, 95. You know? You go out and have fun on a nice 18-hole round.
Let me grab my banana.
Oh, my God, Sterling.
Well, out of context, okay.
No, that's context.
We'll
We
do
don't-
Alice Cooper. You like Alice Cooper?
No.
That's funny. Jeff, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
We'll go with sports, and we'll go with Juno Royals, and the answer is Christian Cologne. Thanks, Jason. Now I'll go leave.
That's great. I joked about I'd have a Christian Cologne question every week now. Well
Stick 'em ball, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Stick 'em ball, guys.
Yeah. Sterling apparently he thinks better with his bat. He's Daniel Caffey over here. So movie reference. Do you think better with a bat in your hands there, Sterling?
Just my wood.
God, I mean, it's a movie reference. Does that make you think better? That seems like you're using the wrong brain.
We've gone from 0 marks to 3 in 5 minutes.
That's right. I was just giving a movie reference. It was an actual baseball bat.
There was a wood bat in here. Yeah.
Sure. I don't believe
I
it.
drank well water yesterday at my farm.
Sure, I put well water through my machine when I was living in Colorado. I had well water going through my machine.
Yeah.
But
You have like a ladle that you're.
now he's got a bucket and a rope.
Yeah. I'm picturing Jake living in the mountains of Colorado and actually pulling the bucket up with water.
Well
ladling it
water
out.
doesn't require a well, by the way. I grew
Yeah.
up with well water. We didn't have a
Well, the water we're drinking is it's well.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's okay.
So what it does is anti-inflammatory. It slows down the aging process. It's antioxidant.
I don't want that.
Right? No.
No.
So like
No.
8 ounces.
End up in a
8
flipping
ounces of that
nursing
water.
home. No.
Yeah.
Boddicker. This is going to help you reverse the aging process. Nope, no thank you.
Don't want that.
Nope, ready to die. I'm good to go. I'm ready to go out right now.
Okay, Biggie.
I don't want to be in a nursing home.
And you get the refreshers.
Yeah, and I will say about the ice too. Like they charge you if you ask for light ice. Like I just want more than drink, but I could charge like $1 if I ask for light ice.
Light ice, you get more drink, and then they charge you.
You think it's bull?
It's bullshit.
Dude, Dieter.
Who was that?
Dieter. Every week he drops a BS.
Yeah, he does.
I think it's just his thing.
No, who was the girl though?
It was Steven's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Because they were talking about.
They charge more if you ask for light ice?
Dieter was complaining because he's like, why is an iced coffee more than a regular coffee? And Jake was like, well, because of the ice. And there's a little bit
Less
more to
coffee,
it.
though.
Yeah, and that's when she was like, well, even if I ask for light ice, they still charge me for the full amount of what would be the ice. But I just wanted just
Well,
a couple ice
normally
cubes in
though,
there.
if it's like you get a small coffee, it's a 12 ounce. If you get a small or iced one, it's 16 ounces.
Yeah, but I'm not getting
take that-
more.
It's the same though. Yeah, I
But
get
it's the same coffee. You're just adding ice. You're just freezing water for me. So I'm just paying more for water that will eventually melt.
and you're still going to pay for it. So that's
I'm not.
a smart
actually.
business model.
It's BS, as Dieter said.
What?
Agreed.
Thank you, Mick. Great weekend.
Yes,
Everybody
see you
enjoy
guys.
more
Have a
than
more
we did.
day.
Yeah.